era niggas just scream out gang gang. My era niggas outside that gang bang. Old enough to know niggas that made it onto gangland. I don't say that to grandstand, I'm just spitting the facts, man. New rappers too busy just making sing-alongs. My raps will have it going savage like the Viacom. You don't want the smoke, homie, then your weed is strong. Good to see you smoke along to that Cheech and Chong. Me and my team, we on the front line. Steady putting in work, homie, it's always crunch time. Hard times produce me, dog. This ain't a movie, it ain't WWE when I mention the bloodline. Homie, I want mine, that's why I move different. Y'all too laxy daisy, I keep myself disciplined. Repetition on repetition, training is rigorous. Only way to survive the streets that's dangerous and vigorous. Behavior villainous, leave no traces of witnesses. Moment of silence for the taking of all our innocence. Now back to business, somewhat of a practitioner, cause there's no shortcuts in life, no pills that make you limitless. That's ridiculous, far set from reality, like who's that's licorice. Frame of thought is insanity, causing calamity if you actually watching and listening. Home to catching out from the dudes that started visiting. How you missing it? Losing profits and dividends. The way your boys been cooking, they need to give me a Michelin. The bliss is ignorant, say they don't like to mention them. And say we don't mention the bodies that's in Lake Michigan. Fucking hypocrites, I separate from the fakes. Roam with a pride of lines, identify all the stakes. Hubris as they folly and catch on other mistakes. Matter of time before they're just another body that's in the lake. Navigate, these troubled waters won't choose my fate. My vision is too ambition like Alexander the Great. Say there's much on my plate, but I carry my weight. Figuratively and literally, for all those who can relate. I never break, you never get me to fold. You never get me to leave, Chicago is still my home. But I carry my heat, this windy city is cold. Valentine's Day massacre, but was it really Capone? Face blown out of proportion, the different views of contortion. Use best proceed with precaution before you lie dead in a coffin. It's not a threat, that's a promise. Best quit talking your nonsense, your body could end up missing. Got your family claiming we lost them. Can't find them, bad time and he's flatlining. Good riddance, bit a negative to mankind. And I'm like Jack Reacher, the equalizer, John Wick, Jason Bourne, the accountant. Either one, you could take your pick. The damage I could do with my side weapon. John Wick with my P40 Smith & Wesson. Opposition lightweight, so I'm not threatened. I'm just flattered by the hate that they keep sending. It's really easy talk that rah-rah on the internet. There's word to Zaza, I heard y'all ain't got your fingers wet. Don't get your cherry pop by that very op. We bust the real ones, got the heavy guap, you just carry prop. Bunch of these gangsters claim to be hard to the core, but they really not like women that claim to be faithful. But they really thoughts, act like they down, but when shit goes down, they call the city cops. Same fools think they know a lot, no dilly squad. Tired of all of this fake shit, with fake asses and fake tits. They fake smiles, but fake lips. Picasso looking with their facelift. What I call the good replacement, with the so-called real are the fakest. So the fakest niggas are the greatest. What was common sense no longer makes sense. What was common sense is now rare sense. What was funny then is now flagrant. Living in your thoughts, I don't pay rent. I take my time, you like patience. Then your blood drip on the pavement. With a headshot, got you brainless. After getting hit with that stainless, kill instinct, call me craven. We going up, shit going down. We lighting them up, you best hit the ground. Shooting them up, run after round. When that blood in the air, you better not dare to come around town. Father, please forgive me, have mercy on my soul. Fools keep trying to test me and I will never fold. It's the way that Wendy raised me, the city of the gold. Load them up and let them go, load them up and let them go, load them up and let them fly.
Yo, 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 what it do? It's your boy Odovino Vega. This is the Chop Shop. And we back. Been gone for a minute, but we're here. We ain't going nowhere. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to chop it up about, but if you saw the title, it's you win some, or some you win and some you lose. And I just have to come forward and just, again, like last time, essentially, and just admit, like, man, I had it wrong, guys. I had it wrong. Your boy lost this one. The Knicks. I mean, geez. Congratulations to the boys. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations to the boys. They did it, man. They did it. Congrats. You know what I'm saying? Like they went out there and they played ball, man. They showed that they wanted it more, in my opinion. You know, again, you know, for those who were kind of like watching, you know, I guess you could say my analysis or my predictions of what the playoffs were gonna be. I thought it was gonna be the Spurs taking it, but again, Knicks came in and they proved me wrong. They wanted it more. They wanted it more. Simple as that. Let's pause that right quick. Simple as that. You know, they wanted it more. I mean, again, when you're looking at the last two games that, you know, before the series ended, Spurs were up, you know, in the first half, dominating the first half, right? And that's I say that just to say that, you know, there was an opportunity for the Spurs to like come back and make it a really competitive series, or and I shouldn't say, when I say competitive series, because it was competitive. I mean, again, in the end of the day, in the sense, I don't know if when you're talking about games coming down to the last digits, last seconds, you know, did one digit difference type scenario to whatever. Yeah, I guess that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I guess make it such an easy win for either team. But what I mean is like, bro, you guys got eliminated 4-1 in the series, you know, considering that they went to game 7 with OKC. Now, I've seen that argument being made, you know, that you know, they were winded going into those, you know, into the series. You know, they played hard, you know, hard series against OKC, you know, and obviously the New York Knicks were coming into that series. Um, I guess you could say fresh, you know, maybe not so sore because, you know, again, they were resting for a while before they came into that game. I want to say it was like a 10-day difference or something like that, or something like that. I forgot what it was. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter, you know. And I say that because, you know, it doesn't matter because Spurs still won game 3, and they technically had an opportunity to win game 4 and game 5. And they just blew it. They blew it come you know, those second halves of the game, especially the fourth quarter, and in both of those games. Um, and again, the Knicks just show that they want, because again, when you're down as much as you're down, especially game 4, to come back in the fashion that you did, in the fashion that they did. I mean, again, just hats off to those boys. And low key, what was cool. Look, I'll be honest, I was kind of come when I saw game 4 played out the way it played out, you know, before while I was still here in Chicago. At that point I was like, yo, because I was, so long story short, I was actually just in New York uh this past, you know, couple days, or this past weekend, I should say. What am I saying? This past weekend I was in New York, and I knew I was going to be in New York come game 5. I was going to be there Saturday. Obviously not that they were playing in New York, they're obviously playing in San Antonio, but nonetheless, I knew that it was going to go crazy in New York City if if they won, you know. And sure enough, like, so when it came to it, I was like, man, you know what? Like, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if the Knicks win at game 5 while I'm out in New York, so I can celebrate with family, you know, which is exactly what I did. Um, you know, and I gotta say, like, the energy, the I'm telling you, like, we were at the, you know, we were meeting, we're going to meet our my cousins over at this like a pub that they were watching the game at. And let me tell you this much, like, you were watching like, you could see people were tuned into the game, um like the whole, like, you know, you're driving down certain streets, you see establishments, pubs, bars, even restaurants, whatever, playing the game. You can see like lofts and, you know, high rise, whatever, like, you know, people, you can see the people watching games there. The whole city was lit up in blue and orange. Matter of fact, we took a photo of the Empire State Building. I'm gonna see if I can show it right quick. We no, never mind. Oh wait, maybe this way. I guess that's one way to do it. And let's see if I could share that. So that was that. I mean, again, it was just the whole city was like that. I'm showing this photo, but I'm telling you, like the whole city, any building that had like lights like that, it was like this. It was just dope to see the Empire State Building lit up. I mean, again, even the I have to upload all my photos, but um, but like even like the New Year's ball, New Year's ball that comes down, like even that was lit up in blue and orange, like almost like a basketball. Um, but man, it was the energy was lit. It was live. And look, I mean, I say that, and obviously condolences to even the recklessness, for the people. Shit got out of hand. Like I ain't gonna pretend like it didn't. It got out of hand. But I mean, I wanna just focus on the I guess you could say the positive energy and the things that like I guess were occurring prior to anything that kind of just went out of whack. Um, because it would be a disservice again to just the overall experience. And now I'll say this too, like low key, um, we chose one of the craziest weekends to go to New York because not only was Game Five like again the clincher for the finals for the Knicks, and we were actually staying in New Jersey, in Jersey City because it's like right across the Hudson River. To go into New York, it's just a cheaper way to go about it. But while we were staying there, you had the World Cup going on, so you had like just I think it was like Brazil was playing it over there. I forgot who they're facing. Um, but so that was going on. So traffic. When I say traffic was insane, um, it was like it was just a lot going on. Like again, we're walking downtown, and but obviously everybody's in Knicks jerseys, but then you also got people. Oh, I think it was like what Normandy that was out there in Brazil. Like I forgot who it was. Shame on me for forgetting, but um, it was just again jam packed. Like if New York City already is packed, due to like just it being a touristy city and then just a robust city, it was insane. Like traffic from foot traffic to car traffic. Even if you were taking the train or any kind of public transportation, it was a bit delayed because it was just everything was packed. Um, but man, like again, like we were there for it all, and I couldn't have, again, it couldn't have played out in a better way. And like I said, I ended up linking up with some cousins. We're there at this bar, and the thing is, like, by the time I get there, here's the crazy part. By the time I get to the bar, because I was out there with like my family, my wife, my sister-in-law, uh, father and mother-in-law. We were doing our own thing as well. So then it was like I was linking up with the cousin for the game, right? And so by the time I get to him, though, like this is how crazy it was. Is that like the bar was already packed to capacity, and a lot of these establishments were like that. Like they were packed to capacity. You had they had the game watch parties out on Times Square. That was cool to see. Obviously, MSG had a watch party, whatever. I will say, I think the city did a disservice, and I'll circle around back to this because everything was like blocked off. Like they had a certain strip blocked off. I can't remember if it was Fifth Ave or which street exactly they had blocked off. I want to say it was Fifth Ave. But I'll circle back to why that's the case and to the unfortunate events that did occur. But prior to those moments, I'm there where I can't get in, but like they have these windows, so I'm able to watch the game from outside and still drink my drink, whatever. And I'm watching from outside, and the moment they win, I mean, and I'm outside, the whole city's in uproar. Like you hear everybody screaming. I can hear them from, like, again, the lofts, the high rises, the lofts, establishments all across the street. And it's just not just, and then obviously the bar, the very bar I'm outside of it, just going nuts, singing, all that. Um, I had a video I intended to share, but I didn't have time to, like, download them or export them into my computer. But all that to say that, again, you hear that, right? And then, like, seconds after, you just see the streets getting swarmed from everybody coming out of every, like, bar and restaurant and house and all that stuff, like, just all coming out, rushing out, screaming out of the top of their lungs, just celebrating, but like like just everybody. I'm saying, like, just it was like a wave, just coming out, going crazy, like almost like a World War Z. That's what it looked like to me. Because, again, the streets were, in a sense, almost, especially the block I was on, I would say that it was like almost barren, like nobody's out because everybody's tuned in for the most part. Like, saying that almost to that degree. I'm slightly exaggerating, but, and then again, like I said, the moment they win, the moment the Knicks win, just like everybody cheering, uproar, and everybody just starts flooding the streets. Like, again, World War Z status, like, or I Am Legend, just a bunch of zombies, like, whatever. Essentially like that, And it's like, and then I remember, like, a few people were like, MSJ, let's go to MSJ. So, like, everybody knew, like, that's the crowds were all going towards MSG. And so, like, even when the cousins came out of the bar and we're like, well, how are we gonna celebrate? Well, like, screw it, we're gonna celebrate at MSG. It looks like. So we all start, like, walking. I'm walking here with the multitude towards MSG, which is Madison Square Garden, for those who don't know. Um, but we're all walking there, and sure enough, like, it was all cool. It's while we were all moving freely, everything was cool. Everybody just celebrating. I just, everybody that they saw, And again, here's the crazy part. I was in technically my Cubs gear, Puerto Rican heritage game jersey that I had on, because I was technically out there for the Puerto Rican Fest. I was out there, and or at least that was one of the reasons, right? Because that was what my father-in-law had, like, been wanting to do for the longest time, is go to New York City to celebrate, to participate in the Puerto Rican festival out there and the parade. Um, and so I'm in, like, Chicago gear is my whole point. And when I say Chicago gear, let me see if I can even pull up share another photo with you guys here. Here we go. Actually, boom. This is actually, this is probably better, I think. Yeah, we'll go with that one. And I'm Chicagoed out is my whole point. Puerto Rican, but Puerto Rican thing, and again, the city was well aware of everything that was happening, right? Like, you knew people were there for the World Cup. You knew people were, well, if you're in New York, you're from New York, you're there for the Knicks, obviously, whatever. You live there, whatever, who cares? But and then obviously everybody's aware that the playoffs were happening, and then everybody knew that the Puerto Rican Fest was happening. So I guess it was like, maybe they just see my gear and they think, oh, I'm just Puerto Rican now. But I guess the reason I just want to share it is because it's like, it still was Chicago, like, it's like Los Cubs, you know what I'm saying? My hat is a Chicago hat, like, it says Shy on it. And then this was like a sneaker pair that I bought with the hat, to go with that, to kind of make an outfit out of it. But, like, I mean, I had it before even the jersey, but he just happened to be able to match with the jersey because it has the almost like a similar Chicago flag, blue color. So it made the fit work. These are the cousins that are from New York. Obviously, they were repping the Knicks. They had the jerseys in true fashion. But all that to say, that's what I'm wearing. Is my whole point. That's what I'm wearing. And people are still coming up to me, like, high fiving, like, wanting a hug, just that was the energy, like, that they were just obviously in glee. And the reason I'm pointing this out, because it goes to why I feel the city did a disservice, right? And so again, while we're all, like, together, heading towards MSG, right? The crowd, at least the crowd that I was, I guess, a part of. And when I say crowd, I mean like we were flooding the streets. The streets were flooded. The closer, once we started getting closer, and this is how you knew, I was like, oh, this is what's happening. Like, I think we were close to like Times Square area where the streets were like kind of already starting to get blocked off and stuff. And now, the certain the scalps, the construction scalps, like the things that are alongside buildings for people that are like working like to clean buildings or like not clean or clean or if they're fixing something, but they're technically ground level, but they got like platforms set up and stuff, and so people were climbing that, like because at a certain point when you get to these streets, there's nowhere to really go. The NYPD and again, they barricaded certain streets, and they're all there lined up to keep the crowds from going to MSG, even though there was already people there in MSG, right? And there was already people technically in Times Square for the watch party, which was crazy because since there were already people there, those were the people that decided to, oh, you're not letting us go further than this. Well, then we'll climb up on these street trucks that you guys decided to put in our way to blockade these streets. But like I said, you started seeing people climb up the scaffolds. Scaffolds, I think is the word I was looking for. Street lights. And this is when I knew, like, oh man, this is okay. People are about to. I mean, you're doing this. You had the people on the street lights like going up and down, trying to have the street light like fall down. You know what I'm saying? And essentially probably putting themselves in danger. There was people on top of like they were on top of like a car, but no, it was like, I forgot. I don't even know what it was. I can't even remember what they were on top of, but it was something that was a little higher than a car. Somehow they managed to get a bike, like a city bike up there, and then they threw it on top of a police car. This is when I knew, like, oh, they're about to lose it. My point to that is this, is that I just feel like had you maybe not blocked off these streets, right, thinking, I'm going to assume that the idea from Amdani was, hey, this will dissuade the people from going further. It'll send them back, and it's back home or something because they realize they can't get there. Now, for the same people who weren't, I guess, too lit and too like, because I wasn't even drunk. I was just there having a good time, pretty damn near sober minded, I would say. So maybe for someone like me and the people I was with were like, yeah, okay, it looks like it's gonna get wild. Let's get out of here. And sure enough, like things got wild, right? Like there's buses that were, set on fire, cop cars destroyed. I want to say there was like shootouts, like there was a few people got shot or killed, whatever like that, and I think some cops got injured. So it got crazy for sure. But I just feel like that what you thought you were preventing, you caused, is my whole point to that. I just feel like if you would have just let the people, all the people that wanted to go celebrate them, if you would have just let them go to MSG, like you would have probably prevented the chaos that happened out on the streets. Because I just feel like when you blockade and stop people, the energy, like again, these people are coming out, heading in that direction with all this energy, right? They want to celebrate, and then you rob them of that. That energy now has to go somewhere, and a lot of them went to destruction. You know what I'm saying? At least I think that's the lesson here. Will we really ever know if that's really what happened? I don't know, but I just feel like that's what happened. I just feel like you thought you can contain the energy, and then the energy, because you stopped it from being able to fulfill what they wanted to do, and that's celebrate with their New Yorkers, whatever you want to call them. The all wanting to celebrate, and they can't even do that. So they put that energy towards destroying the city, because you blocked them. That energy they had balled up, they had to let it out some way. Going home wasn't an option, I suppose. But I mean, again, it was crazy. Again, like I said, once we saw like a lot of all this craziness, like I said, people are climbing up the scaffold, street lights, street trucks, buses and all. Like the moment I started seeing that, we saw it, we were like, all right, let's get out of here. It's about to go down. Obviously, we stayed with each other. We still kept celebrating. We went and got, caught a bite to eat afterwards. Me and my wife and the cousin I was with. And but again, it was regardless of that, it was still a beautiful thing to see because even like there was those of us that said like that were leaving. Some people were actually as we were leaving were coming in, but it was when I say it was like tight. It was like shoulder to shoulder. I was kind of pissed. You saw those sneakers I had on in that photo. They got scuffed. That shit pissed me off. but but nonetheless, it was still cool to just be there to witness history. You know what I mean? Like, you know, who can say that? You know what I'm saying? Like other than the people that were there. You know what I'm saying? Like just to witness it firsthand. Like I didn't have to see the news. No, I was there. I saw it. But like again, I didn't. I wanted to do the service of also just speaking on the purity of it, right? Like before the chaos, and then even throughout the chaos, there weren't not everybody was there. There was still people outside. There was like on our way like leaving, and kind of getting further away from what for sure was erupting. There was even like a car caravan that eventually made its way to the city, celebrating the Knicks, right? And it was funny because even certain people like clearly bought taxis, or I don't know if they were in the taxi when the Knicks won. And now that taxi cab was so cool that he was even like celebrating. I don't know what happened there, but just witnessing that was crazy. I'm like, yo, I don't know if they're paying this guy for every minute that they're going to be in this caravan, or if the guy's just so cool that the Knicks won and he's like, let's go. And they joined, he's part of that caravan of people that were just driving around, beeping their horns, in similar fashion to those from Chicago, Puerto Rican Fest, when we're driving around, beeping our horns, whatever. Boricua, that kind of energy, except it was like, Knicks in 5, Knicks in 5. For some reason, there's still like this animosity towards Trae Young. I kept hearing, fuck Trae Young while we were out there. So people apparently were still kind of booty hurt about the Trae Young situation that occurred, whenever it happened. I want to say it was like last season or beginning, whatever. But so that was kind of funny to just hear. But yeah, man. Again, it was just a cool experience to be there for that. I guess I just want to say that. It's not every day. Again, you get to participate and witness the celebratory, energy that comes from winning a finals. I mean, yes, I'm from Chicago. Yes, the Bulls won it back when I was a child. So I can't pretend to even know what that really feels like. I remember, the family being at home, and family celebrating and happy, and then going to school, the friends, and we're talking about it. But I can't say that I participated or I was out there in the streets when they were rioting and stuff like that. And when the Bulls won then. So I don't know what that really was like. But to be able to, I guess, yeah, like I said, just do it with family that is from New York and be there in New York when this took place. So it was just a cool thing, man. Real cool thing. And again, just happy that I can say that, that I was part of history in a way, But again, I don't want to just focus on the Knicks, but again, kudos to the Knicks. They did their thing. We're getting there. Edwin Martinez, the home, he's in the chat and Facebook. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm getting there. This definitely part of the sports coverage that I'm starting off with. But I'm just trying to give my flowers. First, one, to give my flowers, and two, admit that I was wrong. I thought the Spurs were going to take it. It is what it is. I guess, again, the Knicks proved that they wanted it more. They came through on the clutch when it mattered, and in a sense, exposed that Wemby and the Spurs aren't there yet, which is fine. It's fine, Let's see. We got Real Talk Production says the Heat fan in me is tough to say this, but congrats on that, right? He said, shake my head. Them fans are ridiculous. No, they are. They are. Look, matter of fact, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, I will say this. Even this is worth noting, and I will put the Knicks on check for this one, or the Knicks fans, or even just New York Knicks fans in general. Y'all need to level up on your class. Now, apart from even just like whatever happened, like again, actually, I'll put that on the city, like what happened as far as like the celebratory things that happen in New York, what I want to address there when I'm saying this is when the Spurs fans that were in New York when the Spurs beat the Knicks and how you guys were on some salty childish shit and you guys decided to jump Spurs fans, right? On the contrary, right, when it was that the Knicks were now in San Antonio, you know, and winning for that matter, and won, beat the Spurs, eliminated from the finals. You came across videos of Spurs fans giving, the opposite behavior. Which low key, a part of me was like, man, y'all should have jumped those guys, those Knicks fans that were out there in San Antonio just to get the get back. But I'm glad they did it because they showed that there's just a different class, had way more class, gave their flowers. They, to the Knicks fans, like, yeah, you guys got it. You know what I'm saying? Just different cities, different culture. Maybe that's also what we're talking about here. It's which that's another discussion, right? Like when you're talking about certain cities that have a different kind of culture than others. And again, kudos to just the San Antonio, culture, the fans that just had more class, and actually, again, instead of just getting the get back, which part, maybe the Chicago in me was like, yo, no, get your get back, son. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Again, so shout out to the Spurs fans that kept their cool, and for you New York fans that a bunch of that were sore losers for the one game we lost, get some class. Edwin says, if it ain't the Bulls, hey, that's another way to look at it for sure. He says Spurs need a vet point guard like a Kyrie. Yeah, no, you saw the difference between veteran status and essentially a younger class of players, with the exception of what is it, Fox? I think was like a 9-year vet on there, but yeah, I agree. Real talk says us Heat fans just bring out the pots and pans. Yeah, I mean, again, celebrate how you want to celebrate, and like I said, I'll put the onus of what happened in New York, as far as negatively when the Knicks won. I'll put that on the city. Like, you block the energy, of everybody trying to get to MSG to celebrate together. And now because of that, I just feel like they lashed out. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what happened, in my opinion. But again, shout out to the Knicks. Congratulations. You guys earned it. You guys deserved it. The question now is this the new team of the East? And do other teams have to now make changes and shifts, trades, and things of that nature to compete against the East the champions of the East this in the next season to come? That's the question there. I would say it's like, are we looking at a dynasty team going forward with the Knicks? Is that what we're looking at? Because I mean, again, when you look the way they beat the Spurs, again, it's not like they whooped their ass. So again, it's not like it was easy for them, but every game prior to that, they were winning it in such a crazy fashion, right? Like they swept the two teams that they faced from the Eastern Conference Finals to the conference games. And I can't remember exactly how the division played out for them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, is this the new dynasty for the Knicks? I wouldn't be surprised if they are that team going forward, but I don't want to jump the gun either. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality is I don't know if it played out in their favor because somehow, some way, Detroit got exposed, which they were the number 1 seed of the East. Celtics, same thing. I don't know. So there's a lot to discuss there, but I don't want to get too deep into that just yet. That's for another discussion. When we're talking, I guess, maybe off-season basketball. Real Talk Production says, just wait till before Tuesday. I'm being told some things about that. East about to get shook up. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to stay posted on that. We got to talk about it for sure. You got to let me know when you can hop on the chop shop so we can discuss these things, my brother. But you're right. I'll definitely stay posted. Like I said, those are questions I have. Like, what's going to happen in the East now, right? And then even for the West, what does this mean for the Spurs going forward? I agree with you, Carlos. Though I think that they need to get some veteran status on that team, I would say. And even like the coach, let's just be honest, even the coach needs some kind of, I don't know, like, there were certain ways he was like certain calls and the way he would like pull people on and off the bench that I'm like, yo, what are we doing here? That I was just like that's crazy. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it. This is for me just to give the flowers to the Knicks. You know what I'm saying, and admit that I was wrong. I predicted it wrong. Keep it moving forward. Next, congratulations. And this is more just for me to just show like, hey, look, guys, like there's a space here for you guys too. Because I forgot who it was that was on last time, or I know it was me and Finn chopping it up, but I forgot who was in the comments section. I don't know if it was Integrity or I forgot who it was, but they mentioned like other sports that were like peeping in. They mentioned hockey, and I was like, yeah, you're right. The hockey playoffs are happening at the same time, man. I always kind of forget that till I remember, and it's really the only time I start tuning into hockey is really the playoffs. I don't really watch hockey outside of the playoffs. Probably should, but I don't. But congratulations to the Hurricanes. What is it? South Carolina Hurricanes, right? Um, and or the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know, but essentially beating, what was it? The Golden Knights, and the Vegas Golden Knights. So it low key, I think they won every game, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was a 3-0 shutout in Game 6. No, they won 4 out of 2. That's what it was. That's how the series ended. Okay, 4-2 and securing their first Stanley Cup. Okay. Yeah, I mean, shout out to them. And who's that one player I was watching? And I was just like, yo, this guy's on point. What the hell's his name? It was like something stale. I think he was like the playoff MVP. Jordan, there you go. Jordan Stahl. For sure, that guy was running it. Overall, I would say like, yeah, it was. I like the way that they were running their mid-series goalie switch for the Hurricanes. They did a great job, I would say, suffocating the defense of the Golden Knights. And in similar fashion, right? In similar fashion to how the Knicks beat the Spurs. That's what you saw here. It was a veteran core, that just showed up, to win their series. So in similar fashion, you need vets. That it makes such a big difference when you have vets, veterans in your team that have been there before, that don't buckle under pressure, that know how to put the pressure on when it demands it of them, right? So again, congratulations to the Hurricanes. There is a space for you here. NHL hockey lovers, we'll discuss that too here. But again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but we will discuss again. There will be discussion for these off seasons, and what are we going to see going forward as far as like, because what this is, I want to say the second year in a row of the Hurricanes winning it. So are we looking again at? It is funny though. It's different in hockey. Like the same team doesn't win back to back often. That happens every now and then, but it's like I'm not sure. Does a three-peat exist? I'm not sure in my lifetime I've seen a three-peat in hockey, and I could be wrong, and forgive my ignorance, but to my knowledge, there hasn't been a three-peat in hockey, but I could be wrong. But anyways, congratulations to the Hurricanes. That one I kind of saw playing out that way, if I'm being honest. So I can't, I'm not going to say. Matter of fact, I think 2 videos ago I mentioned it, that I thought they were going to take it from the Vegas Golden Knights. So there's that. To keep it moving forward on sports talk, though, Chicago sports, right? Let's get into it, guys. Shout out to the White Sox, right? Shout out to the Chicago White Sox for somehow, from being like the worst team in the MLB 2 years in a row, the worst team in the MLB, right? And now they are number 1 in the ALC, right? They are number 1 in the American League Central, Central Division. It's insane. What was hold on? Let me see what their the last I checked. As a matter of fact, actually, this is what I want to see. Did they actually win their game or lose their. Oh, they lost it yesterday against the Yankees. Um, and actually right now they're tied. I would like to see them at least beat the get one game in, guys, at least. You know. But shout out to the White Sox, man. Again, they're playing good ball. You're looking at you're I feel like the story we're looking at here is a team that's young core team. They're building together, and now you just got this great roster in this squad. I mean, you're talking about Colson Montgomery. You got Chase Maydroth, Miguel Vargas, Sam Tanaki or Nachi, sorry, Davis Martin, Sean Burke, and of course Murakami. I mean, they got a decent squad and a decent, like, good pitching, good pitching too. So it's kind of just cool. Again, cool to just see this team come out of nowhere. Because again, nobody saw the Sox, nobody saw the White Sox coming out of this, number one in the American Central American League. so shout out to those guys. Oh, there we go. I forgot I had that. So shout out to these guys. Again, just playing good ball. And what I will say is what impressed me most was the series they had against the Dodgers. Again, that they had an 8 before they lost this one. They were like on a, I think, 8-game or 9-game winning streak. Beating the Cubs too in the cross just to keep that a buck. Like I know you Cubs fans don't want to hear it. Anybody who knows me, I'm a fan of both teams. Obviously, I will say this: like, I think going to a Cubs game is more enjoyable. There's a lot more to do once you're out of the stadium, and it's a whole vibe. And we've discussed this at length too. Me and Pin. Obviously, the White Sox stadium, they do have better food. Well, that we can give credit, and it's a newer stadium. Obviously, whatever. There's more nice in that manner. But once you leave the stadium, the cool thing about it is you do have they have a good park, like a big parking lot, so like you got what's what I'm looking for. You can tailgate there, so that's the kind of the experience. But even that's kind of like, do you really want to tailgate down there? It's the south side is to the south side, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, Chicago side, if you're from Chicago, you know what's up. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think it hasn't been as bad as it's been in other years, but it's still the south side. It's still got a lot of craziness happening down there. So you can't just go out and party and like none of that. It's like once the game's over, you got to go. Where on the opposite side, when you go to Wrigley, it's like, all right, what are we doing next? What bar are we going to? What restaurant that's out? So it's just a better experience. But again, I say this to say that they're when you're looking, actually, I think the Sox and the Cubs right now are somewhat tied. I think, if I'm correct, regarding their standings, but no, their record, like their wins and losses. I want to say they're almost neck and neck with each other. Let's see. I was looking at it earlier. Where'd it go? Okay, lost it somehow. Oh, there we go. Boom. Let's see. So yeah, we got White Sox with 38 wins, 34 losses. And I want to say Cubs are somewhere around there too. 39 wins and 36 losses. And unfortunately, they're in a tougher division. Let's just keep they're in the National League Central, whatever. And it's a lot of good teams coming out of there. So let's just keep that a buck. Obviously, so to be third in that, it's not where you want to be. And honestly, look, let's just keep this a buck. What is the story here when it comes to the Cubs? What are we looking at, right? Like, what is it that we're having a hard time, as the Cubs? What is it why can't they be this dominating team that they should have been, right? On paper, they should be this team that's like dominating, and they're not. They're not. They're just too inconsistent, in my opinion. Or not even my opinion. That's what shows when you're looking. It's just this weird inconsistency when it comes to the Cubs that shouldn't be happening, right? Like, it's like, again, you're on paper, you got the players you need, and you've had them. It's just awkwardly enough, some of these players even are inconsistent. And I know that they've been struggling with their pitching as well. So I don't know if they can do something to fix that going forward. But again, it's just a good time to be alive. I think if you are a baseball fan and if you're a fan of either the Cubs or the Sox, it's finally good to see. This is what you want. I like to see out of Chicago baseball, right? Like it's like I want to see the North Side and the South Side both contenders because it's it gets boring. It gets boring when it's like, oh, you know the Cubs are gonna be good every year, but not good enough sometimes. Or there's weird like stalemate that the Cubs are in sometimes. It's like they're good enough to like be talked about because they're good enough to get good games in, but like for some reason they just can't pass a certain threshold these past couple years. I would say what was this guy that we lost? I forget his name, but all that to say that it seems like every year, like, oh, it could be their year, but it's like, whatever. But at least they're always playing ball. They're always talked about like they're at least a contender. They're always at least a contender, even if they're not, even if they've never, they haven't become champions in a while, right? But at least they're contenders is my whole point. Where the Sox, like I said, these last 2 years are just they were the laughing stock of just the whole entire MLB. So and even before that, again, it's like the Sox, they weren't really contending. Where now it's like it's just good to see that there's this energy of like both South Side and North Side being contenders, and one actually, due to I guess just I don't know luck of being in a better scenario when it comes to actually they're no longer number one. It's fairly changed. Now it's the Guardians number one in the ALC. So, but either way, it's just good to see that both teams are actually doing something, regardless of like again, it's a good story for the Sox, for the White Sox, because obviously, like I said, the last 2 years were horrible, and even before that, they were just subpar at best. I don't know, to then just have this kind of a team playing right now, it's a good thing to see for the White Sox. When it comes to the Cubs, it's a different story. Like I said, it's again, you're always going to be entertained. Like I was literally I was at like I said, the Puerto Rican Heritage game for them, and they were down 6-1, and to see them come back in the last inning, in the fashion that they did and actually win the game, it was such a great feeling, a great moment, and this is the kind of team that they can be, right? Like, and then, they definitely have the capacity to be. It's just like I said, there's just this weird like inconsistency. But either way, at least they're contending always. And now we have a tale of two teams coming out of Chicago that are actually slugging it out in a sense, in their rightful divisions, So again, just kudos to these guys. Both teams. Again, kudos to both teams. I feel like we should be getting more from the Cubs, and I feel we should be demanding more. But at the same time, like again, they're no slouch of a team. There's certain games that they do come out and just show why they are that team, and so that's what's up for the Cubs. And again, for the Sox, it's like, yo, kudos to you guys for actually playing ball this year. From what you guys were, saying had going on last year and the year before that, for that matter. So it's again cool to see you guys now in the limelight, being talked about, being given flowers, and and you guys deserve it. They deserve it. So that's that. So shout out to Chicago sports when it comes to the Cubs and the Sox. And here's the crazy part. I know the Sox. The owner for the Sox is the owner for the Bulls. Hey, like whatever if your focus is on the Sox, cool, right? Like like I don't mind that, but like make it be worth something. If the Bulls have to suck for the Sox to like get somewhere, then do that. That's fine if that's what your plan is. I don't know what the plan is there overall for you. Like, what's your strategy there when you own both teams? But yeah, that's that. So, but anyways, on to the next thing, guys. Chicago related as well. This has been a while already. But I figured why not, touch it. and that's the Hammond Bears. It's official, guys. It is official. The Bears are now going to be in Hammond, but not so much official, right? Let's just keep that a buck, right? It isn't 100% set in stone. I was just looking at it here. What it is that for sure, obviously, like I discussed last time, I think I was on that, unfortunately, the Illinois House passed a bill without the, what was it? Wow, my mind's drawing a blank right now. Without the funding, there you go, funding. Wow, without the funding that was supposed to go to the Bear Stadium, and the tax incentives and all that were supposed to help the Bears make that move to Arlington Heights. They didn't push it forward. They somehow, even though it passed the House initially, passed the Senate after that, went back to the House, and Illinois just can't get it together. You know what I'm saying? And here we are now living in a world where the Chicago Bears decided to move forward with developing a new dome stadium in Hammond. But they said that's what they've articulated, but it's not 100% set in stone. So what it is that they voted on this. Now, essentially, what you can hope this means for us Chicago fans that don't want to see the Bears go to Indiana, because, I mean, even though we've discussed it before, Hammond is in a weird, even it's Indiana, but it's it's that area of Indiana that's somehow connected to Chicago, right? But no Chicago fan really wants to see this happen, right? That's again, I've talked around to many people from Chicago or Illinois in general, whether they live in the cities, whether they live in the burbs. Nobody wants to see Chicago Bears go to Hammond, Indiana. That's just a fact, right? And that's that a lot of them didn't even want to see them go to Arlington Heights, because it's like they're the Chicago Bears, not the Arlington Heights Bears. But if there was between the two evils, as they looked at it, many people from Chicago, if it was Arlington Heights or Hammond, they prefer Arlington Heights because at least it's still Illinois and it's not Indiana. But you have no one to blame but Pritzker and all those boo-foo senators and congressmen in the Illinois seats, the Mayor Johnson himself and everyone on his committee. We have no one to blame but them. They and the sadder part is they here's the crazy part, is that they tried to make the argument that, oh, there's more important things than the Bear Stadium. True, but even those things that are more important, even that you guys can't even get right. Right, so so the fact that you even made it seem like that was going to be your comeback, to the scolding that he was getting, Johnson and then Pritzker, whatever. It's there are more important things that you guys are also failing to meet, right? So again, it's a sad story. It's a sad story again. Some you win, some you lose. Right now, as we see it, we might be losing the Bears to Indiana, guys. Just we might. But in the scenario you want to see happen here, right, is that Illinois realizes, oh shoot, no, these guys are serious, right? They just voted to go to Hammond, and maybe this puts a fire in their ass to see what they can do, quickly to reverse this from happening. The crazy part about this, low key, is that there's technically still time. I want to say the lease for the for Soldier Field isn't up till, I think, till 2032. So I don't know if that's what's allowed them to have this weird wishy-washy, I guess, and I say wishy-washy, I don't know if that's the word, but this weird thing where they're not pressed on actually getting the Bear Stadium stay in Illinois. At least, maybe they don't see it as a thing that needs to get done now. And here's the thing. I know that there's a lot of politics behind it too, right? There, the who gets taxed and who's going to pay for all that's, being questioned. But again, as a Bears fan, I do not want to see the Bears go to Hammond. I'll just, again, even I stand on that. And I'd rather them have the Arlington Heights field because at least they'll own it, which means that they'll have more revenue, more money to do what they need to do to keep building this team, right? That's essentially what I want to see. Now, don't get it twisted. The reality is this Hammond deal is still a really good deal, right? Let's not forget that. The Hammond deal is really a good deal, right? Indiana has already set up a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority and passed legislation giving property tax certainty, right? Which is what the Bears wanted with Arlington Heights. And Indiana is giving it to them, right? And up to roughly $1 billion in incentives to lure the team, which is a big part of why Hammond jumped to the front, right? So they're not losing. This is a very real deal, is my whole point. To anyone who thinks lightly of this, it's like, this isn't that lightly of a situation, right? And teams move a lot. We've seen teams move, right? So let's not pretend like it can't happen, right? Right? The St. Louis Rams are now the Los Angeles Rams or something like that, right? Or right, the Oakland Raiders are now the Las Vegas. Right? Like teams move, man. So like, don't be so confident that Chicago Bears will never know. It looks like they might. It looks like they might. So again, it's not finally, it's not set in stone. It's not 100% final. But again, it's so Illinois is doing some part, to try and the lawmakers, as far as that's concerned, they're hey, essentially their response was, oh shoot, like, oh snap, they voted to, so they decided to push forward this bill, which pretty much like allows like larger Cook County cities, like Chicago, Arlington Heights, etc., to create their own stadium authorities, right, in the same way that Hammond did, to issue bonds, to try and keep an in-state option alive, essentially. But again, it's like, if you guys are not about this business, then what the hell are we doing here? Because again, keep in mind, this is what the Bears want, right? They want, again, that long-term property tax certainty, which Hammond is offering, or Indiana for that matter, right? Well, where again, Illinois hasn't committed to that. They're still just they're playing catch up right now, right? So again, it's 2033. That's actually when the lease is up for Soldier Field. So again, if that's what Illinois is betting on, it'd be a shame, it's like, yo, don't play with our emotions, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need Chicago Bears to stay in Chicago. You know what I mean? So let's stop playing with this idea, and let's commit, guys. That's all I'm going to say to that. Let's finally commit to this and make it happen, right? But it is what it is, guys. Let's keep moving forward. Again, it's a sad day in Chicago Bears. As far as the stadium is concerned now, as far as the Chicago Bears as the team is concerned, there's a lot of up and up to be excited about. Again, we discussed the drafts not too long ago, and actually, rightfully so, they gave my boy his flowers. See if I can find it here. Bam, bam. Right. Ooh, excuse me. And here we go. They finally gave my boys flowers, and this is what we're getting. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, guys. And this is what we're getting. Boom. Let's go. Let's go. Right? We got the boy, Caleb Williams, Madam 27 cover. The question is the curse real? Do we still concern ourselves with the Madden curse? I think it's fair to say that we've seen instances where it hasn't come to fruition. So maybe the curse isn't as real as we wanted to believe it was. Um, seeing that, well, that again, who I'm trying to remember actually who it was that was on the cover that that they were fine. Although they were fine that year, they weren't fine like I think the following year, the year after that, where like there was an injury that they got hit with. So again, let's just all prayers. I just say right now, all prayers to Caleb Williams. Stay healthy, my boy. God protect you. We need you out there on the field doing your thing. Continue progressing with your game. I mean, man, every time I see highlights of just how you played this last season and just knowing that that's not even your ceiling. We have yet to see really the uh, peak Caleb Williams, and we're already looking at a franchise player as it is. So again, like I said, not everything's bad in Bears Town, but as far as the stadium's concerned, there are real concerns there. As far as the team is concerned, we're looking really good, and I think low key, again, like I said, it's not final the deal with Hammond. I think the Bears voted on that just to show Illinois lawmakers that we're serious of moving if we have to move. I think that's what they did there. And I would say that if the Bears keep playing as well as keep playing as well, but like also even just getting better and maybe even becoming a Super Bowl contender for that matter. Let's just say maybe this season or the following season, like if they keep being that team, maybe it'll like again show Illinois and Chicago, whatever. Like, oh no, this team they are a team worth like keeping and building, whatever, and having as a commodity to the city, that something that actually raises the value, right, of the city and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see how this plays out, but as far as the stadium is concerned, but I think as far as the team is concerned and what we have going forward, we have a very promising team. I think Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. I have nothing but faith in him. But again, let's pray away the Madden curse in Jesus' name. Break that curse in the name of Jesus. It ain't gonna happen to Caleb Williams. We need him healthy. But anyways, let's keep moving forward, guys. Now we're closing in into some professional fighting, but obviously I'd be remiss to not mention this. Zayas versus Boots. We've been talking about it, right? I think this is going to be the boxing fight of the year, in my opinion. It's I don't up until now I just haven't seen a fight card as stacked, but not even just as stacked, but no, maybe not. I don't want to say the fight card's not as stacked. There's been some decent fight cards, but when you're talking about the main event, this fight right here, like Zayas versus Boot, like this is what you want out of boxing. You want to see the best contend against each other. I would say in the more recent boxing year, like I guess more recent years, maybe past 1 or 2 years at best, maybe 3. You're finally seeing boxers and stop dodging it, but you still have that, right? You still have these boxers that are dodging each other, right? Or some that are dodging others, right? To maintain their integrity in the with their records, as far as the record is concerned. They're more concerned with that than they are actually the integrity of the nature of their character. They're more, and again, whatever, it is what it is, but history is still being written, and you will still be remembered as the coward who cowered out from fighting the fighter you needed to fight if you're dodging fighters out here. So let's just keep that a buck. I mean, let's just talk about it, right? Like the reality is Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers of all time, but there is still that stain of like, yeah, but you faced a lot of fighters when they were not in their prime. A lot of these like a lot of the fights that you finally gave us was the older version of these guys, right? Which and honestly, some of these fights, I think, for those who know, I still say he lost against Pacquiao. He should have lost. He lost that fight against Pacquiao, which that is still another fight I'm still interested. I'm still interested in that. Is that the Pacquiao Mayweather rematch? Even though it's years later, I still want to see that. But this fight right here, Zayas versus Boots, that's the one I'm mostly interested in. Um, again, it's you got the young cat, Zaya's um, just shining through, his ranks and uh, in his division, whatever. At 154, and every fight you just see him getting better and better. Every fight, just looking clean, looking fresh. Um, but I do have this to share, and I say this to share this because I wanted to share this. Mind, pay no mind to certain things in this, I would say. But again, it was just cool to see this while I was in New York. Um, and I was like, all right, dope, Um, but I'll share this nonetheless. Again, uh, I just, Zayas versus Boost is what I was focused on when I was trying to record this. Just I just want to point that out. I know you'll see why shortly, but I just want to point that out. Um, so it was a good time, good times. But it was again, it was cool to see them promote this fight. Obviously, Zayas is a Puerto Rican boxer. I would say he's probably going to be if he wins this next fight and he keeps going on this trajectory. Um, I would say that I feel like he's going to be the next face for Puerto Rican boxing. Obviously, like we had our Trinidad, we had our Cotto, your Camacho, whatever. All you have your fighters throughout the years that left an impression, and they were the face of Puerto Rican boxing or elite Puerto Rican boxing. This cat is next in that lineage of that legacy to have. And even though he humbly like says like that's not what he's shooting, and again, and I'm glad he's not like that's not that don't have that be your focus, you know. But it was I mean the PR fest as a whole was lit. I ain't gonna lie, um, but oh, yeah, I'm just realizing that. Oh no, but yeah, this is the fight that I'm looking forward to. I can't wait till we finally get it. Um, again, I think we're looking at and it's gonna be look again. This is when I say you're looking at two elite fighters, and in Ennis, you're looking at a fighter who's already been doing this. What he's got like 35 fights under his belt, something like that, 33, 34, somewhere in that range of undefeated, right? Lots of knockouts. He's got power. He's got speed. Um, the question is him moving up in weight? Does he still have that same power and speed? And can he take the power and speed of someone in a higher weight class than that which he's coming from, right? Um, that's the question here, right? But it's no, I'm not going to pretend like Boots isn't the veteran in this match, right? Like he is the guy he's been fighting a lot longer, right? Um, where Zayas is still, when you're looking at a fighter that's like in his 18, 19, 20s, lower 20s, that's a fighter that's still fresh in my opinion, you know. So he's still fresh, but like you can't deny that in these last fights he's been in that you've seen him become an elite boxer, like you've seen the growth. And I feel like he knows and not only do you see the growth, but you're looking at a boxer who's his mental IQ boxing wise is there, right? Like he adapts to the fighter he's facing, right? So the question is he gonna come across the same Boots that he's studying on tape that gives him an advantage, or is Boots also realizing like I gotta come in with a different game plan to catch this guy off guard and hope that that gives me the opportunity to get a good counter in, good counter punching in to land some good punches. And is it enough again against someone who's higher in weight? Does he still have that same power? Does he still have that same speed going up in weight? I mean, power technically should be more when you're moving up in weight. But if you're not used to moving with that weight, it varies. Um, So we'll see. We'll see. But this again, this is the fight. This is the fight of the year, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it. Just make sure you guys tune in. It's June 27th. Um, which what is that? Like a week and a half away now. So yeah, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Again, Zayas versus Boots. Obviously, uh, uh, yo soy boricua, pa que tú lo sepas. So I'm obviously going for my boy Zayas. Obviously, like but I'm also a realist. So like I know this isn't. I'm not gonna be like, oh, he's got this in the bag. This is his fight. No, I'm not saying that either. What I what I want to see low key. Not only do I want to see Zayas win because again, that's as a Puerto Rican, you know, obviously I'm gonna root for the Puerto Rican boxer. Um, and not actually that's not even true all the time because honestly, if it's also in character. Like I like him as I like his character. He carries himself well. So that gives me a bit more, I guess you could say pride or admiration towards this guy. Where like, man, you're Puerto Rican, but you have good character. You carry yourself well, um, and obviously, yes, like every boxing, there has to be some sort of like up the ante type talk, which they both delivered. But and credit to both of them, they both delivered in a way that's like we're not going to do the most. We're not going to get out of character. Essentially, they maintain their own character, both of their characters. So that was kind of cool to see within their press conferences or even their face to face that they had not too long ago. But still you know, um, enough trash talk, I guess you could say, that still like gives you that like, oh yeah, okay, they both going into this fight like wanting it. Um, so again, it's I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for this fight. Um, but speaking of fights, right? Speak Speaking of fights, we have to talk about this. Obviously, it's in the zeitgeist. It just passed. I gotta say, like this weekend was crazy for me because, again, I was in New York, um, watching the NBA Finals. Right, I'm watching the World Cup. Right, because I'm like, oh yeah, the World Cup's going on. Right, so I'm peeping game on that. I'm keeping up with that. Um, and then on top of that, honestly, kind of forgot about this till it came across my timeline. Right, and that was the UFC Freedom 250 fight. Right. Um, so you know, it's it's it was kind of surprising to like, like, oh yeah. So like I tried to watch it as much as I could because like again, like I said, I was in New York and I was busy. I was hanging out, being with family and stuff. But man, am I glad that I caught the fights that I did, right? And that was like the more main event fights. Like I for sure tuned into um the Gagey versus Taporia fight. And shout out to Gagey, man. I mean, golly, bro. Like uh just that I mean, and look, Topuria, like he did his thing in that first round, right? Like the in the beginning, it was like laying it on him, right, on Gagey, but man, the Gagey come back, bro, like and really turned the fight around in his favor and landed some good shots that obviously gave him um the win at the end, right? Like they Toporia's team obviously like we're like, yo, like we're not gonna do this, right? And kudos to them for that, right? Because keep in mind the I was gonna say the ringside, the cage side doctor was gonna let it continue, was gonna let the fight continue, So, but it was good to see that the Toporia's team were like, yo, no, we're not gonna do that, and even like I like the again the character and attitude after their fight, right? Like it played out in a way that there was still respect and all that. So that was dope. And again, um, I think the other fight that for sure, and you know what's crazy? I felt like I saw what I saw, but I was like, whatever. Like if they didn't call it, maybe I'm the one. Maybe I don't know what I'm seeing, right? But that was the Cyril Gain and Alex Pereira fight. Um, there were some strikes to that for sure. I was like, yo, this is a bit crazy, like that looked like he was hitting him behind the head, like, and I'm like, is that even allowed? Like, but then it stopped. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm tweaking, maybe whatever, maybe it's a clean hit. Um, so I was like, I don't think that's right, but whatever. So again, when Gaines won, I'm like, all right, well, hey, kudos, man. Like he took, so that was another one where I got to say, like, I had it wrong, right? Or did I? I'll say that, or did I? But I initially, I guess, as it is on paper, I had it wrong because I did think Alex Pereira was going to win that fight. Um, and Gaines proved me wrong. He got that W, but at the same time, was it a clean W? Right. That's the question. There was Gaines' win over Pereira over Alex. Was it a clean? Was it a clean win? Personally, in my opinion, now that I see Alex Pereira's him and his team have the same look I do, I'm like, I think I'm right. Like I think I'm not sure it was a clean. I don't think it was a clean win, and I think that deserves a rematch. I think that fight deserves a rematch, in my opinion. I'm not sure it's gonna have the same. Look, I will say this, right? I moved on straight to the fights and what I thought about the fighters, but let me mention this again. This happening, right? Like, hold on, sorry guys, I'm thirsty. Mm. For some reason, I'm really gassy right now. Um, but anyways, let's just keep this a buck, right? Or, maybe let me get to the fights. I'm gonna circle back around to this point. But anyways, all that to say, I think I'm right on. I'm not sure Gaines got that win clean, and I think this deserves a rematch. But um, yeah, it was like I said, it was crazy to witness because I was like, I'm not sure those strikes that I just knew weren't clean to me. I was kind of like, yo, that's kind of crazy. Um, Another good fight. Look, here's what I'll even say this, right? Every fight that occurred in this fight card was like spectacle, right? It was a spectacle, right? The Sean O'Malley fight versus Amon Zabi, dude. Dude, like that was a crazy fight. Sean O'Malley getting that knockout again. I felt like it reinforced um his offensive talent, right? Like, it's what, like the last time we can't even remember the last, but all that to say that it reinforced just the power and the offensive technique that Sean O'Malley has. Obviously getting knocking out Zahibi. Because yeah, like what his last knockout I saw was in 2023. So again, it's like, all right, he still got it. Is the whole point. Obviously, we got the Josh Holkett fight versus Derek Lewis, um, where again also won by a TKO. Um, and it's funny because I think a lot of people sleep on Hawkett. A lot of people sleep on this Josh guy, and I think it's because like his character doesn't really come off as like, I don't know how to explain. Like, he's very much into whatever this character persona he has, and obviously we all know that because even after the fight, he his his rant at the end of the fight, obviously proves like he's got this kind of persona he's got going on, and I feel because of that people don't take him serious. But again, when you watch him fight, in that last fight, you well know this guy is that guy. This guy is that guy. So I mean, we'll get into even the statements, we'll get into the comments that he made, obviously, but I want to focus on the fighters first, and then we'll get into I guess you could say, the political angle to this, right? On top of even, I guess you could say, danger that lurked in the shadows angle, right? Okay. I think I heard something fall. Okay, maybe I'm tweaking. All right. Then we had the Mauricio Ruffy, right? Knocked out Michael Chandler. Again, it was like again, just great fight card, good fights. In fashion that you want to see at again a event that took place in the White House for the UFC Freedom 250, right? Celebrations, right? So I guess let's get into that. Um, Look, man, I feel like I want to say that I wish people weren't so bent on their weird like fixation of, I guess, hating on this guy because it's like I feel like it stops people from giving credit where credit is due, right? And then it also feels like there's this like disingenuousness or hypocrisy here where it's like you know very much if this was, let's say, Obama who did this, or you're president, you would have liked this idea. You would praise it, right? You would have been like, "Oh man, this guy's a genius." And let's just be honest, like there is this even a hypocrisy there because it's like, and this is what, and I always tell people this all the time, like Obama was technically the first president to introduce this type of presidency slash campaign, right? In the sense of like, I'm tuning into the pop culture of things, right? Making relations with hip hop artists and NBA players and things of that nature. Uh, that created a new, I guess you could say, style of politics, right? And since then, politics has been this now, right? So this idea that it's like it was, oh, I totally forgot about this. That it's like, whoa, Trump for doing this, and his administration, whatever. Like it's a very disingenuous like argument, and then trying to find like nitpick, like these reasons, like, oh, it was a bunch of elites, like, oh, like whatever. Again, if it was the candidate you liked and that you voted for, you wouldn't be making this complaint. Like, let's just keep that a buck, right? Um, Again, this was a cool event. I just want to point that out. This was a cool thing to witness. Even the dirt bike stuff that they did. It's again, this is it was very much um a cool thing to see. Again, like um I don't care, I just wish like people had the same mindset I did. It's like, whether you disagree or agree with the person's politics, that doesn't change. You know, I can look at the good of what somebody does, even if I don't agree with everything they do. You know what I'm saying? I can always say kudos to this, kudos to that, hats off to this, hats off to that, even if I disagree with something that they say or do or believe in, whatever the case may be. You know, I just wish people could just be honest about this. And it's that, look, it was one hell of an event. It really was, and it's not too far fetched to understand that it was a invite only event. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would assume that's what it would be because you're talking about the freaking White House. You want the White House to be open to the public, and that's that. Even with that being said, right, going to the next thing is that you still had the FBI came out with the fact that they stopped a drone attack of somebody who wanted to attack the event with like some drones or something like that. I kind of forget what it was, you know. So imagine imagine if they did open it to the public. You're talking about the guy who's been had what, like 3 or 4 assassination attempts, and you want him to just open this event to the public and the White House? Like, you're crazy. of course this was going to be invite only, or invite first. I don't know if that's how that worked. Like I forget, like I know that, there's so much going on, so much information I'm like that I have to like retain that it's kind of hard to keep it all because like I know I saw this somewhere, but I can't remember exactly how it goes. But um, other to say that look, man, like the event was what it was. It was a cool event. Again, UFC fighting on the White House South Lawn. Uh, it doesn't get any better than like like that's going to be a hard thing to top, right? Now this idea that UFC and are they politically tied into like are they going to be at every political like now you guys are just being silly. This was a clear celebration of 200. It was like an anniversary type thing, right? um and yeah, like it turns out like it was Trump's birthday too, and I want to say they even mentioned that a while ago that this was in the plans. Like, so what? Like, what I'm saying? Like, who cares? It's the man's birthday. He thought to himself, "Hey, you know what? Who knows if he even thought to himself? Maybe it was somebody on his team. Like, I don't want to pretend like he has all these ideas for himself. And maybe it was somebody in his team. They're like, hey, it's going to be your birthday and the 250th year of, what I'm saying? Like, it's, why not do it together? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, how dear. Like, come on, let's stop that. Let's stop that. Like, it's like, I'm done arguing about the petty stuff. And not that I really argue, but I'll put it like this. I'm just done hearing people just find arguments for the most stupidest things, the most pettiest things. Like, I'll give you other arguments, but this one wasn't it. Is my whole point. We can debate other stuff. There's nothing to debate here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what you like, what how you feel about this. Necessarily. I just wish that I wish you'd just be honest and in the fact that that if it was your candidate, you would have been fine with this. Is my whole point. And if this was the other way around, just understand. I would also, if it was the other way around, and it was, let's just say, we lived in a reality where I don't know, Joe Biden got elected again, and somehow he had this brilliant idea. I would be here defending it, just to make that clear. I would have been like, no, and let's just say it was the Republicans, like people who are like, and it was they're the ones nitpicking. Like, oh, I would have been saying the same thing. This is just a cool idea, right? Uh, and kudos to those who put this event together. It was again one of the best UFC, probably the best UFC fight event of the year. For sure, for sure. If we're gonna keep it a buck, overshadowing the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano fight card. Let's just to keep that a buck, right? So there's that. It's now to the guy's comments again. Look, you don't have to agree with it. Obviously, I thought it was funny. Personally, my opinion, I think it's funny. But again, I'm on the outside. I said this before. Like the only person who has the right to be offended here in this scenario, in my opinion, when it comes to this guy calling Michelle a man, is Michelle Obama herself and her husband and her kids, the family. That's it. Anybody else here trying to make, you have no right to be offended. I don't care. Like this isn't about you. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about you. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. Now, again, the only person I can give like you want to be offended for sure is Michelle Obama because the statement was about her husband, the kids, all that. I will state this though. What I do find funny is the hypocrisy here, right? Like and what I mean by that is this weird, and this is where I feel like, look, like people are having a hard time being honest with themselves because I just feel you're too invested. Are those gunshots out there? Well, that's the city of Chicago for you. I'm not sure if you heard that, but those are for sure some gunshots. There's been a lot of gunshots lately. I don't know what's going. It is what it is. Chicago. But again, what's irritating, what I don't like seeing a lot is when there's like hypocrisy, right? Again, a lot of the defense I make towards certain things is it's just to hold people to the same standard that they're putting out there. I don't really need to defend anything that's being said or done here. Like, I can care less, really, in a sense. Like it's that, or like in the sense of like that's not my fight here. That's not my thing. What bothers me is it's just when again it's when there's just like this hypocrisy, this double standard, and I'll call out any side that I see doing this. But what you can't do is hurl insults in one direction, right? And again, hurl not even just insults or accusations and or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, the word's eluding me right now. But then when it comes the other way around, and all of a sudden you're gonna cry about it, that's like, come on, man. What are you guys? You're acting like that kid in school that would, pick on another kid, and the moment that kid decides to slap back and punch you back, punch the other kid back, all of a sudden he's crying. Oh, you hit me, you hit me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, come on, like stop that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, y'all been hurling insults, towards Trump or towards his wife or towards, what I'm saying? Like, and maybe in your mind you think it's not as bad, whatever. Like, you know, you know, Erica Kirk, Charlie, like you guys do that too. So like, stop that. Like, who cares? Like, all right, he called Michelle Obama, man. Whoop de do. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the world we live in now, guys. Unfortunately, right? This is the world we live in. Pandora's box has been opened, right? Like, it's all I care is that it's an equal playing field. That's all I care about. I don't care. Like, you call this man a Nazi, you call him a rapist, you call him a pedophile. These are being thrown left and right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like let's stop. Let's stop like with this whole like, oh, how dare he call it, how dare you? And then somehow try and find a way to frame this in a disingenuous way, as if this is as if that guy's statements is a representation of what UFC was or what the event was as a whole. Like, you're being dishonest, and that's what I don't like that. I don't like the dishonesty in things, right? And again, I'll even say when it goes the other way around. But in this case scenario, that's just how I feel about this. It's like with this scenario specifically, it's like, would I have done that? No, that's not in my character. One, two, I wouldn't have done that because I've for the longest time I've never believed that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and trust me, I have friends of mine, and I wish they were here to testify to say that they even believed Michelle Obama was a man. And I would be like, bro, that just how does that even make sense? They got children, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about here? And then obviously there's that viral video that always goes around, right? That it looks like something like, hitting the pants. And then look, it's a funny video, you know what I'm saying? But that's not enough. I'm sorry, that's not enough. And I know that there's other talks and other things that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Look, y'all we can all speculate if we want. People, that's the thing. That's what I want to get at. People can speculate all they want. Like, who cares? This is the country we live in. You know what I'm saying? Freedom of speech, freedom of thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, freedom to speculate. Right now, that being said, again, would I have said it? No, but that's this guy. That's his character. He's very, very what's the word I'm looking for here? Wow, my gosh. Wow, the word's eluding me. But he's very, he's very much out there like that. Like, that's just the way he carries himself. He talks like that. He's like another Strickland, you know what I'm saying? Like another Strickland. Just says what he says. And a lot of these fighters are like that. And I actually like that about the UFC. I like the fact that Dana White lets these guys, hey, say what you want to say. Go crazy. Freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. These fighters are out there representing themselves. They're not representing the sport. And I wish that was true across the board. Let's just keep that a buck, right? Oh, snap. I just realized I never changed the banner. Let's just keep that a buck. We need that across the board. Like right now you have that situation with the MLB, right? With the whole like being that it's Pride Month, obviously a lot of these, organizations, they do the most to I guess, virtue signal and show that they're part of it, whatever, support whatever. Which, like I said before, that's a problem because you're not doing that universally, right? And I've pointed that out, right, because we had a discussion about that one Bulls player who just got booted for doing, similar thing, right? Like where he spoke his mind um about how he feels that, obviously certain teams and, celebrate this stuff, right? And I thought so, and I said my point was that it's just when it's the other, you don't see this happening the other way around, right? And it'd be different if these teams were celebrating anything and everything under the sun, truly, to prove that they're accepting of all things, if that's what they're trying to show. But that's not what's happening here. There isn't a gospel night. There isn't a, uh, I don't know, a trying to think. There isn't a Buddhist night. There isn't a, and the reason this matters is because we're talking about lifestyles here. That's what we're so-called celebrating. So if that's the case, and again, all my thing is, it has to be an equal playing field, right? So if you're gonna go out of your way to celebrate this, you got to go out of your way to celebrate that, right? And I've always said this: you can't ball in a lifestyle, a sexual lifestyle, right? The sexuality and that lifestyle. You and they've done this over the years, and this is why they placate it this way, and that's that you play it with the race card thing, right? So like, so you'll have your, like, obviously your, even your, like your Latin nights, or like the month, Latin game night, right? To celebrate, Latin heritage, and then you'll have like your Black History Month, night games, whatever, and to celebrate Black history, whatever, and you bunch it in with that, right? And it's like, but it's not that, like, and it never was. Like, a lifestyle is a whole nother thing compared to heritage, right? And ethnicity and culture, right? When you're talking about, Pride Night or Pride Month and all that, like, it's a lifestyle. And if you're going to celebrate one lifestyle to show that you support it, you should be doing that with many lifestyles, right? Like, that, quote unquote, because in the end of the day, this is the sadder part. Essentially, the message you're giving is that you actually think that this lifestyle is better than all lifestyles. That's essentially the message you give when you say we're only going to celebrate this, contrary, opposite of all the other lifestyles that are out there. And it's like, so you think that's the best lifestyle out there for everyone? You know what I'm saying? And I know that's not what you're trying. Like, I know that's not what's being said, but that's the optics of these things. That's my whole point. Is that you're not, when there isn't a balance, it's crazy, right? But all that to say that now, even with the whole MLB thing, right? You had those players that put the verses on their caps, right? Uh, it's like, and then all of a sudden, the MLB is going to try and, like, find them or whatever they're going to do, and it's just crazy. This is the world we live in, right? And again, it's like, this is why I'll always give credit or kudos to Dana White and holding true, and the UFC as a whole holding true to, like, look, we let our fighters speak their own mind, speak their own heart, speak their own truth, because they really believe in freedom of speech, right? Compared to all these other organizations, there's so when you're looking at that, it's when you're also looking at that, that's what's fitting about the UFC being part of this, right? Like, and I know everybody's looking at the whole, again, like I said, I've seen all the negative takes and outlooks of this whole event, and it's like, oh, Dana White and Trump, whatever, blah, blah. And yes, they are friends, and I'm sure that plays in a role into what we witnessed. But other than that, the reality is um it's almost fitting that it's the UFC that is the sport, the celebratory sport, because it's in a way become the most American sport out of all sports, because every sport has become it become PC. Every sport's PC now, you know, and PC in a way that placates to certain communities and lifestyles and peoples more than others. Let's keep that a buck. That's the problem here. Where here, at least it's like it's open. It's like take your pick, and they draw a hard line on the things that actually really do matter, and that's fairness. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the sport, you know, and the reality is they're more fixated on the sport as it is, but they're not focused on politics like that, right? Now, the fact that it's like, oh, well, what do you mean? Trump shows up. Like, well, yeah, because Trump is a fan of UFC. He's been since day one. Like, you'd know this if you weren't so hell bent on it. If your ears didn't ring and hurt, and your soul didn't squeam, wasn't squeamish every time he appears and every time he speaks. Like, if that wasn't the case, you know this. You'd know that Trump essentially helped, with the start of UFC in the sense of giving venues, like he's part of that, right? So again, none of that's unheard of. He showed up to the Knicks game, right? He's been a New York Knicks fan since I can remember. You know what I'm saying? And everybody made a big deal of that. Oh, the president showed up, but he's gonna, and that's why the Knicks lost because he was there. And it's like, shut the hell up! Like, no. Before this guy was president, before he even ran for president, he was there with every celebrity. He was loved. Like this. This is the part that drives me crazy. Is we're living in this weird twilight world, twilight of a world where it's like, not too long ago, this man was friends with all these guys. That's what's crazy about this. And low key, that's the only reason why I started paying attention to like the politics of this of him and his administration is because initially, and I say this all the time, is because in 2016, I was like, yo, this is weird. Like this guy was low key the guy, right? Like, especially with Dem- and honestly, it did surprise me when he ran as a Republican. I thought he would probably run as a Democrat because he always he would he had a lot of Democrat connections, right? A lot of political Democrat connections, and he would donate to the Democrat Party and stuff like that, and Democrat candidates, especially in New York and all that, right? So, anyways, I say all that to say that this guy's been going to New York. He went to New York Knicks games way when he was just the celebrity he was, right? So like it's not crazy that he's there. You know what I'm saying? And he went there for that game. Maybe he should have went for the second one to give the Spurs a chance. Um, no, but in all seriousness, my whole point is this: we do live in. Again, I'm not saying that you can't disagree with the guy. Not by all means, if you disagree, you disagree. Like I say all the time, there's things I disagree with. For instance, even the way this Iran war kind of played out, the way it's going, like there's a lot of things there that I'm like, I don't know. But my whole point is there's things even I disagree with, when it comes to his presidency or his politics. I don't disagree with everything, but I do. There are some things I do disagree with. But I say that to say that it doesn't mean just because I disagree with him that I have to be so hell bent. And like we do live in this weird thing where it's like again, it's I don't know. It is weird to see people. And I'll put it like this. Let me say this. Actually, it's not weird. Let's just be honest about this for a moment. The experiment by legacy media has shown itself to be, and not even just legacy media, from legacy media to social media. And this is, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but this is just a statement / question to keep in mind, maybe to have awareness, and that's that our minds are, and I say our minds just to not keep myself out, although I'd like to think I'm not Actually, you know what? I will take myself out because I'm not that guy. Like I've told you guys before. Like I do not take anything at face value. You know, I'll go back to see if what was said or what is done is true. You know, and if there's nothing else to go on, then yes, I will take your word at face value because it's like, well, it's proven to show that you're actually on point with what you're saying. You know, so if you're saying this is the case, then I'll believe it. I'll believe it at face value until I find something that proves otherwise. And when it comes, I'll be open to it. Right? I'm not gonna be sorry, guys. I got like allergies. I won't be so close minded. Um, but all that to say that again, this the UFC Freedom 250 was one hell of a fight. One hell of an event. I mean, it was like knockouts across the board. Um, I mean, the judges essentially were like, they were spectators as much as the guests were, um, for the majority of the night, you know. But again, it was a good event. Is my whole point, and despite with the Michelle Obama comment again, Michelle Obama has every right to be offended. So does Barack. So does the family, because they're close to that. So I get it. Everyone else pretending to be offended or like acting like they give a damn. Cry me a river. Um, Again, if you're also participating or laughing at statements that go the other direction or agreeing, like then I'm sorry, spare me because if you think things could just fly in one direction but not the other, then shame on you for being a hypocrite. Um, Again, if you haven't realized yet, if you haven't realized it yet, we live in a time where this is just politics now. And I say politics because everything's political now. Sadly said, like we should be able to actually separate that and realize that it was just this one fighter who, I guess, maybe according to his own politics, said what he said. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be representative of a political party or as a whole or because that's I think the other problem. I feel, and this goes in many ways, like in both ways, in a sense. Um, Although it's probably more truer in one way than the other, but it's this whole generalization we generalize a lot. You know what I'm saying? So like everything's under one umbrella type scenario, and it's like and it doesn't take into consideration or factors of like the nuances of things. So, anyways, but that's a whole other thing. But I have to say that, yeah, like I said, the guy said what he said. Personally, I laughed at it because I just thought, yo, this is crazy that he would say something like that, on that stage. Um, but and again, kudos that he was allowed to say it without repercussions, and there shouldn't be any repercussions. Again, freedom of speech. And you could almost tell that the guy said it like hyperbolically. You know what I mean? He didn't say it with conviction in the sense of like, I'm telling you this is what it is, and blah blah blah. And it could be that he believes that to a certain degree, but the way he said, like, come on, anybody's being honest. The way he said it wasn't like that. It came out like straight up, like, almost what you would hear at a roast, like a comedy roast. Mm. But like I said, love or hate Trump, agree or disagree. I think this event was great. Um, the UFC 250 event was great, and maybe we'll see what happens next. Again, I don't know how you follow up with that, but like I said, love or hate him, agree or disagree. This is where we are now. UFC on the UFC event on the South Lawn of the White House. Crazy, and I don't know. Again, I don't know if you guys saw, but it was a crazy spectacle. It was like in a good way. Again, I'm not mad at it personally, in my opinion. Um, so it was cool to see. It really was. Um, but that being said, now, like I said, I don't agree with everything, and some things are like I remain on the fence about and question about. But that's obviously the Iran war. Is it done? Right? No, apparently it is. Right? Like it's we had the was it the what's the one I was looking for? Sorry, guys. Is it this one? Went out. But is it done? I know that as of last night, the MOU was signed. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of talk about, and I know there's like a text that went around. I'm not gonna get it. We don't have to read all that here. You guys can find it out there. It's essentially, what's in the memorandum or whatever. It's out there. You can read it. Essentially, so it almost feels like an extended ceasefire. Essentially, is what this is. Um, Obviously, the U.S. is stating that if in any way, shape, or form, if they feel that Iran is not complying with what they demanded, that that they'll be more than willing to go back to, you know, the strikes and the blockade. But essentially, they are willing to, uh, I think they're agreeing to keep troops off the ground. So I mean that's good for, obviously we don't want no soldiers lost, and we've already had a few losses. So it's like, all right, again, this is what sucks about war as a whole. It's like, this is the reality of it, is that there are losers and winners, and you know death and all that, and so it's like it's not easy. Like none of this is easy. The idea alone, even to make this move, right? The what was it, Epic Fury, whatever. I'm sure it wasn't an easy one to make. Like there's a lot at stake here, guys. So I'm almost certain. I have to assume and believe, right, that the president and the administration is well aware of these things, right? Obviously, it somehow obviously played a part, or not played a part. But yeah, it played a. I feel like what happened out of this war exposed a lot, right? Like, and not a lot, like crazy a lot, but in a sense, like again, if you were paying attention, you're paying attention to the geopolitical shift of alliances and the who's who and what's what scenario, right? Especially in the Middle East. I was quite surprised to see the amount of um not compliance, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like what's what I'm looking for? Working in tandem almost with the United States in this regard, and maybe Israel for that matter. Um, so specifically with the Gulf states, the cooperation there, the level of cooperation that we saw. I feel like we saw. And I said this a while back, right? I felt like you're looking at a paradigm shift in alliances, so to speak, right? Where where you see like even Trump giving our old allies a hard time, especially regarding like Europe and stuff. I mean, and that's not to say that we've cut ties with Europe. I'm not saying that, right? Like where obviously, G7 just took place, right? And obviously you heard the statements coming out of there. There's somewhat of a lockstep. They're trying to be in lockstep as far as like, I don't know what to call it. Like I guess, uh, what the situation, in a sense, like not trying to lose relationship, right? With the United States. The reality is uh and I hate to talk like this because it's, I don't want to come across or come off as like uh hot-headed or big-headed about, because being in the United States or being an American, whatever. It's when I say what I'm saying here, I'm just kind of just stating the facts as they are, right? And that's that the United States very much is the power in as far as the West is concerned, right? Um Militarily, um economically, you know, culturally at one point, the culture war is a real thing. And that's a whole nother discussion. But I say that all to say that again, you saw that kind of like a shift almost there, where it's again, he's giving these old European allies of ours a hard time. Meanwhile, like setting up relations with countries in the Middle East, right? Like as far as the UAE, uh, you know, wow, Qatar, wow, my mind's drawing a blank right now. Um, I just had it like all in my head earlier. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? All those like forming these alliances, so to speak, right? And almost like again, creating a going back to the Abraham Accords, right? Like kind of building off that, right? Building on that, and so I feel like that kind of exposed, like, yo, there is an alliance they're building, and I feel that that's actually the reason why this deal is happening, or it did happen, and not even a real deal because it's more of like type of like even though it's signed, it's more like, hey, let's shake on this type of thing. What we said, but there's still a lot more to this deal that needs to be finalized. Uh, Obviously, regarding the nuclear aspect of it and all that. This is more just of like, all right, in good faith, this is what we're gonna do, you know. And it's anybody who's like into the whole like win or lose mentality of this all. I'll just say this: like, look, I can understand that, you know, um, right? There was the whole like what we were set out to do, right? Like initially, it was almost kind of not kind of confused. I feel a lot of people were confused more so because they allowed themselves to become confused with all the rhetoric around the war. I felt like it was very clear from the beginning. It's a For me, it was a move on obviously, yeah, the nuclear thing, right? The nuclear aspect to it, right? Not allowing Iran to have nuclear, you know, uh capabilities as far as like missiles and stuff like that, right? Um or nuclear bombs or whatever like that, warheads. That was one angle. I feel like it was an economic angle too, but more so a global one, right? Uh, Trying to in a sense, like make like weaken in a sense China's position in the holdings that they had over certain regions and kind of how they were moving around the place with their allyships of with Iran. Again, that was the whole thing that we saw in Venezuela, right? Um, I feel like the only reason, and the reason it's China. China is our main competitor when it comes to. Uh, I mean, they're the closest one to us as far as like economic power is concerned, and military power is concerned, for that matter. Even though for them it's more numbers than it is technology, but not to. They do have some kind of crazy technology going on over there too. I'm not going to stop, but a lot of it is plagiarized off of our technology, from what I understand, and things that I've seen. Um, and So I feel like that was a move on that too. Um, I will say that I think uh, what was exposed here is, and if Iran is, I guess, smart, um, they would stop using or thinking nuclear warheads as the weapon, and they would realize like it's free trade, right? Like you can be a competitor on the market if they really wanted to. Is the whole point, right? Focus on and your economy and your economics, um, and you know, I guess utilizing the Strait of Hormuz is a real beacon for that, right? Um, because they for sure showed that it, not that it necessarily hurt us directly due to like oil shortage on our end, because it didn't, but the market played a factor into it, right? And obviously we saw a spike in gas prices, in stocks and all that, whatever. And obviously, since kind of the talks, peace, we've seen gas go down, all that, whatever. The Strait of Hormuz is now open again, open to Iran specifically to their benefit, so that they can kind of start working on their economy again. Um, but make no mistake, obviously their military is still devastated. It's not like they're to pretend like there was no winners or losers. They lost. They lost a lot. They lost a lot. Is my whole point. And so they lost. Uh, I don't think the idea was ever for them to be obliterated. That's my whole point, right? Like if that's what we were expecting. Now, granted, I will say that for me, all I cared for really was like, look, I don't trust you guys with nuclear either. You know, like with a nuclear weapon or nuclear capabilities. I don't think you've proven that you could be trusted with that. You know, the I mean, your posture in the Middle East, every chance you get, between your proxies or yourselves, you're taking shots in a certain direction, right? And and so like it's like to pretend like that's not a real thing or not a real threat. It's kind of like you're willfully being ignorant. And again, it's not to say that you know I'm not trying to say that every other country around it is a better country or perfect, whatever. That's not or even America for that matter. I'm not saying that either. But I'm just saying there's an obvious difference between you know 40,000 people getting killed or around that number, whatever, uh, due to them speaking out compared to you know what I'm saying, like where here you're not getting killed for that, for speak again. You the president of the United States gets called a Nazi or this and that all the time, and these people are still out and about, living just fine, breathing air, eating food. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this to pretend like there's any kind of closeness. It's ignorance. It's ignorance. It really is. And it's not even just like there's a lot of places that are just don't really have the amount of freedoms we have here. And that's not, again, I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not saying that everything's laxy days. Like there's a lot we can obviously work on and things that can get better, obviously. But in comparison to a lot of countries, it's not even close. You know, as far as like again, the idea of like true freedom and things of that nature. And then like I think I feel like there's obviously areas that we can improve on and things that are still working in that direction. But overall, is this war done? We'll see. You know what I'm saying? Like again, it's like this according to what they've said, this does hinge on the fact of whether or not Iran plays ball and they're complying with that which was, I guess what's expected out of them. Right now, the problem is that from what I understand, is that in this very document, there's nothing really regarding what the expectancy with the nuclear thing. But I'll actually look into that right quick because um 'cause I don't want to send you guys off. All right. Oh no, that's not the one we want. Okay, no wonder. I'm like, what's going on here? um, sorry guys. Okay, there we go. But yeah, all that to say that so oh okay, hold on, here we go. So the big news is that Washington and Tehran have just agreed to end active military operations and a broader political deal to wind down the Iran war is in its final stage, even as low-level tensions and Yemen-related risks continue. On June 15th, Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry publicly welcomed an agreement between the United States and Iran to end military operations, signaling that both sides have formally committed to stop offensive actions. And obviously, as I mentioned, the G7 situation, U.S. and Iranian negotiators signed an initial agreement to end the war, described by the AP as an initial deal that still needs follow-up implementation and a broader political framework. So the Institute for Study of War reports that the parties have a final memorandum of understanding text that, according to Iran, meets some of its key goals regarding Lebanon and the Strait of Hormuz. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have both welcomed the fact that U.S.-Iran talks are in their final stage, and foreign ministers in Islamabad and Riyadh have discussed regional stability and a possible signing ceremony, potentially Geneva. Um, let's see. I'm trying to get to the nuclear part of the deal, though. See, that's what I mean. I don't think there was, because I'm not seeing it here. Let's see. Um, uh, uh, there might be actually low key because if okay, yeah. So there were no, at least so because there's nuclear limit. Okay, that's what it was, right? Okay, so there's nuclear limitations in this. Um, but again, we'll see if this holds. You know what I mean? It's the sad part is this is usually how the wars in the Middle East play out, right? And look, the issue with this was always timing, right? Like it was always timing. The way I understood it was I felt like there was always a window here, right? And what needed to be accomplished. Essentially, again, if the truth was that they were just trying to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons and stuff of that nature, okay, mission accomplished. All right, so what are we still doing there? Um, so that was the part that was kind of weird to me, you know. But obviously, um, retaliations occurred. I think also there was this, I think, an idea that the people of Iran that want a regime change were going to stand up and fight for it, and essentially they never did. Or not that they never did, but I don't think they did it in a way that I think the U.S. was expecting to happen. Um, and then, like I said, obviously with the close of the Strait of Hormuz, it did cause a problem. That's just a fact for everybody. And Iran was willing to go down with the Strait of Hormuz and the economy and all that stuff. That's the problem there, you know. Mm. That I don't think. Well, I don't want to say that I don't think the U.S. was betting on, but I think the U.S. was probably ignorantly hopeful that they'd bend to economic pressures. And I read to nope. Well, we're going down with this burning ship if we have to. Which again, let's just be clear on this. I think I want people to understand that in my opinion, the way I see it, because I know that this was like initially a topic or initially was that, oh, why are we getting into this war if Trump said, if he's the no war president and blah 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 and all that, right? And keep in mind, yeah, there were wars that he helped bring to an end, right? Um, so that is a thing, and I think that still, I think this proves that is my whole point. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think the reality is he doesn't. I don't think he wanted to go to war. I think we just, and I don't even want to call it a war because it really didn't even feel like a war. If I'm be honest, uh, compared to, and maybe again, maybe it's because we're living a different era, time of, or maybe it was just the superiority in technology was so vast that we didn't really have to send troops in for what we were trying to accomplish, right? But for whatever you want to call it, war or not, operation, I don't know. Um, I don't think he wanted this. I think we needed it to happen because again, if they were really as close to the nuclear capabilities that we were told, even though yeah, I will admit I did find that funny because I'm like, well, come on, like what's going on here? You know, like, but this is where and this is again, this is my thing with Trump. I don't like when you exaggerate things because then it's like it's misleading, it can be misleading. Like sometimes I get it. But in things like this is more serious, man. We're talking about life and death here. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about, you know, you know, obliterated the nuclear facility, whatever, failing to mention that, well, that was only, you know, one of many. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and again, there was just a, yeah, the way he portrayed it just wasn't 100% accurate, you know? And all that to say that, again, it's like, okay, if we needed to go there for that reason alone, and then you were also hoping maybe there could be a regime change, uh, you know, to where the people uprise and fight for Iran, whatever, the ones that want to change. Although, if we're gonna be honest, I mean, that's just that's tough too. You know what I'm saying? Because then that what are we talking about here? Civil war? You know what I'm saying? Like there was supposed to be a civil war there, and even if it wasn't going to be our own troops, again, it's an ugly situation, right? Like nobody wants to see this happen, and but then the question is like, but did it need to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it have to happen? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like some things I really don't know. I do know that, yeah, I know Iran doesn't can't have a nuclear weapon. That I agree with. I don't think they need one. And I've said this before. There's plenty of countries that don't have nuclear weapons that are just fine. You know, like this idea, like, well, if we have nuclear, why can't they? It's like, well, we know why they can have nuclear. You don't see us out here, you know, bombing like, you know, other than other than when we first tested it, right? After that, we realized, oh, hold on, and but obviously, Trump's made plenty of statements of like he wants to dial down, you know, the nuclear amount of nuclear warheads we have, but he wants to do it in lockstep with obviously the other countries that have the same amount that we do, you know, or something of that nature, because then you know, it doesn't benefit us to you know bring down our stockpile when others aren't doing it. But anyways, uh, all that to say that, you know, is the Iran war done? I'm hopeful. You know, I'm hopeful because I feel like we're kind of already seeing how it's pumping life back into the stock market, back into gas prices and things of that nature. So it's going to turn around economic chokeholds throughout. Even though, like let me be honest, like you know, we weren't nowhere near as bad as Iran for that matter, or maybe other countries in that region, and maybe trade partners of theirs that were completely dependent on them. You know what I mean? So, but obviously we were affected by it too, right? There was this like ripple effect that did reach us. Is my whole point, right? And but we're kind of seeing that being alleviated now. So I'm hoping and I'm hopeful that this does become resolute, you know, and that you know the right deals struck in the end that benefits not just us but the region as a whole, the world and that region as a whole, um, and the Iranian people. You know, but like, am I completely ignorant to that to think that oh yeah now everything's going to change for the Iranian people in Iran? And like no, the same people are still in charge essentially. You know, essentially, right? Because obviously I know a lot of them died, but essentially a lot of them are still in charge and they believe what they believe and they're going to run the country they see fit. So that is what that is. But overall, though, as a whole, I'm hopeful that things do change for the better, and that peace is sustained. Uh, you know, obviously, I know that the situation with Iran and Hezbollah is still kind of occurring. You know, a limited fight between the two but still occurring. I hope that comes to an end too. Again, I hate to see it because it's like you know I value life, but at the same time I'm not ignorant. I'm not the guy who's like, oh, we should never kill. Like, no, no, no. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, right? So that is what it is, you know. But so I don't know. You know, again, we'll have yet to see really. Again, will we see peace? One, and then two, if we do, is it the deal we're looking for? And will it prove will have proven that what we set out to do paid off, and or was there actually more to do and we didn't actually see it through? Like all that's I think somewhat still in the air. Find out exactly once we get all the information that we need. But well, I'll keep you guys posted as much as I'm posted, right? So again, hopeful that we do come to terms with two apiece and a good deal that benefits us all. On to the quick mention again. Giving flowers if flowers is due. Um, Elon Musk is now a trillionaire. That's just crazy. First trillionaire in our lifetime. I think in all of maybe even history, to be honest with you. So that's just crazy. But cool too. Like what I'm saying, like how uh again in my lifetime I never thought that'd be a thing, for those who don't know exactly, it's that SpaceX went public. So with essentially with whatever Tesla's worth, and then the worth of SpaceX then doubling to what it is now, it pushed them over to being a trillionaire. And it's dope. It's just dope. You know what I'm saying? Like um again, cool time. Good for him. You know what I'm saying? Good for him. I know there's like these weird takes on it, like, that this is like that's what I'm looking for. Like there's this weird take that it just like they're trying to frame like some sort of corruption there, and it's like, nah, man, the guy's just working hard. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy's working. I mean, look at everything he's created from Tesla to SpaceX, and then what is being done via those vehicles, right? The AI capabilities of what he's created as well, right? Like the guy's doing so much that it shouldn't be a secret, or um it shouldn't have you skeptical, you know, to why this has happened for him in his life. And how many people benefit from this, you know what I'm saying? Like that stuff, that's the story that's not being told, right? The story is not being told, by, or at least by some that are dishonest, that still have this weird, they hate him because he endorsed Trump, whatever, it's like this weird thing that political is what drives everything and dictates everything. It's just weird. But the reality is the concept of the wave raises all ships, or whatever the term is, something like that. Like a rising tide raises all ships. That's true in this regard, right? Like his worth went up, but everybody else who also has stock in these companies and shares and things like that, they go up too. And then not only that, then even the employment, the people who are employed in these companies, like they're essentially their pay goes up too now. You know what I'm saying? Because there's more work. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing for everybody, and not just Elon Musk. Like I mean, obviously he's the trillionaire, but everybody else under him, and then also owns stock, owns a share, owns whatever. You know what I'm saying? Works for him. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna get paid more now too. That's essentially that. So again, kudos to Elon Musk. But let's keep this moving, man. Time is running short. On to I was gonna do Chicago news, but due to time, I'm gonna keep it. I'm just gonna move on because I feel we discussed a lot of politics there, a lot of news stuff. Essentially, all I was going to talk about was, just kind of like, I know that the elections are coming up in Chicago. The question we have to ask ourselves really is, do we still want more of the same, or do we feel we need something different? And open up, do your research, guys. Like, look at what these candidates are running on. Look at their track record, if they're honest or not, to what they say they're going to do, things of that nature. And be open to something other than Democrat. I don't care if it's Republican or independent. You know what I'm saying? Like with this idea, dude, I just know too many people in Chicago that just I'm a Democrat. I vote like, dude, and look where we're at. You know what I'm saying? So like, be open to an independent candidate, being open to a Republican candidate. Just be open to it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just immediately shut these other candidates down just because they're not Democrats. That's all I'm saying. Do your research. And obviously, yeah, but if there's even a Democrat out there that's got more sense to his policies and how he's going to move forward with things, same thing. I'm just saying, do your research, be open to new things. All right. All right. That being said, though, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go here. You already know it. Like, so let's not act surprised. I'm going here. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Still in full effect. Still in full effect. Um, obviously, like I said in the like I said in the comments or description to this episode, the guy's nonstop posting stuff. So what do I say? As long as he's posting, I'm talking, right? As long as he's posting stuff, I'm talking about it. The In relative news to this, right? To the restore the Snyderverse potential, right? The possibility that's becoming more how do you say more tangible every day, right? Um, is that the Paramount deal, right? The Paramount Warner Brothers deal. I want to say it was in China. Yeah, it just cleared. Chinese regulators cleared Paramount Skydance's acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. This was poor Reuters. This was yesterday. Yeah, this was yesterday. It was reported. Which again, this removes another major regulatory hurdle. Regulatory hurdle. Sorry, guys. Which again just improves the odds of the deal. I think we're still waiting on the UAE and I think the UK. So again, things are looking good. It still looks like it's on track to closing by the end of the third quarter of 2026. We'll see. But it's still looking good, and all that to say that benefits anybody, in my opinion, who's hopeful for the Snyderverse, right? Because again, this guy's just going nuts on Instagram. Marking the 2020 Snyder Cut announcement. The Fortress of Solitude reports. Snyder shared on Instagram. The post obviously commemorating the 2020 Snyder Cut announcement for Justice League. Obviously, he did that not too long ago. We talked about that. But I mean, since then, the guy's still going crazy here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share it. I'm just going to share it because that's the only way to make you guys aware of what's happening here and why I guess for us fans that do want it and for those who are curious about what are they talking about, I'm just going to show you guys and why you should be hopeful for a better future for DC. Because those who know, in my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of James Gunn and his DC. I think he did well with Marvel and he should have stayed there. I don't think he was the guy for DC. I don't think any Marvel guy is the guy for DC, if I'm being honest. I liked it when they had their own lanes. I prefer diversity over uniformity. I don't like things all being the same. I need things to be different. I like different. I like when everybody has their own niche, their own, you know what I'm saying? DC and Marvel always had their own things. You know what I'm saying? Like comically, that's been true. Cartoons wise, that's been true, and it was true in the movies for a while until this new reality we live in. But I mean, let's go ahead and look at some of these posts that he posted. He shared this awesome Man of Steel poster, which it is awesome, I gotta say. I just watched Man of Steel actually. Actually, when I was in New York, I was watching it. But then there's this one, which again, watching and I think the reason he was doing actually a lot of these Man of Steel's posts is because the anniversary of Man of Steel, I think the trailer for it just came past like 4 days. I think that's what it was. Anyways, let's read it through it. Again, you will give the people of earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Kel. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders. Again, I love Man of Steel. Like it really made me connect with Superman in a way that I never thought I would. Because I mean, I'm still a Batman fan, obviously, over anything or over every other character. But I always, looked at Superman different. Like I don't know, like I always thought he was just like it just wasn't appealing to me as much, And it wasn't until I saw Man of Steel that it gave me a different take of him, and that had me more intrigued. And I started looking more into Superman, and I realized, oh, I had this guy all wrong. And but then again, it also could be an age thing. I think maybe even that I got older, I started seeing it different. Maybe that could be it too, because then I even went back to watch like the animated series and kind of his role there, and then kind of just seeing Superman in a different light. But all that to say, it stemmed from Man of Steel. The League, I thought this was dope. I'm gonna see the Zack Snyder's Justice League, the League United. This is just a dope poster in general. Whoever created this, I don't know if it shares it on here, but I don't think it was. I don't think this was Zach who did this. So shout out to the artist who did. I'm sorry if I don't know who you were. But again, another Man of Steel one, right? In time they will join you in the sun. And this is I love this poster is dope because he goes to that last scene in Man of Steel, right? Where Superman's all like, I just wish Dad was here to see all this, right? Because he's here essentially at the end. He's already he's Superman. He saved the world. And he's talking to his mom, and he's all like, I just wish he would have seen this. And then she's like, oh, he saw you, or whatever. And it's that scene of him as a little kid with a little, his own made cape of being a hero, before being Superman before he was even Superman in a sense, So that was cool. I like this poster a lot because that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Then there's this. I'm not gonna pretend like I even know what language this is. So let's just keep moving. But dope poster again. Henry Cavill Superman, best Superman ever, bar none. But then there's this. There you go. 13 years ago today, the world was introduced to Superman. And I just like this because the sound, the score right now that we're hearing to this trailer, compared to the Superman we just got in 2025, right? It just let you know that
you're not just anyone. One day you're gonna have to make a choice.
What a dope trailer.
You have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world.
This is when DC, I'm telling you, was at its peak, man. Then this shot. Oh my God. I actually remember seeing this trailer for the first time. When I saw that scene, I was like, oh yeah, I'm watching this movie. And it still holds. It still holds. Like it's still better than the Superman we got in 2025. And this was in 2013. It's crazy. I just it's even further what I'm saying. Like I said, I was watching it in New York, and my niece, who's like 10 years old, or about to be 10 years old, somewhere in that age group, she was watching it, she was watching me watch it, right? And so intrigued by what I was, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how good the movie is. My whole point. Like, she was intrigued by what she was, because obviously, starting off with the Krypton scene, she was engaged. She couldn't stop coming back, because her mom wanted her to do, like take care of something else, but she kept wanting to come back, because she was intrigued by the movie. Like, that's how good this movie is. Like, this idea that this idea that it's too serious or too it's a lie. It's just a lie. Like it's like it's uh if it's just not for you, it wasn't for you. But to pretend like it to give this blanket statement and say it was too serious for kids or whatever, or it's not family for whatever the case, whatever the he doesn't smile enough, it's not lighthearted enough. A 10-year-old girl was entertained by this movie, is my whole point, right? By the Man of Steel movie. So that's that. And then this was like the last post, which was like, referring to the essentially Zack Snyder's Justice League is currently trending worldwide. Top 10 on Netflix in 21 countries, including France, Poland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Turkey, Bulgaria, Greece, Romania, Serbia, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and more. Watch it now on Netflix. Which, again, I hope Paramount's paying attention, right? Paramount, like, I hope you're paying attention. I wish actually Netflix would put it on their, here in America, but I guess why not? But I wish they would, I wish they would. But I mean, guys, like that's it. I just feel like Zach's doing this because he knows what's around the corner. That's what I feel. Because it's just like, man, this is just a lot. This is this is the same energy that you saw coming out of him, leading to the release of the Snyder Cut, right? This is what this feels like. Every time I'm seeing him do it, this is what it feels like. So again, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that once this deal closes with Paramount, I'm hopeful we're going to hear something. Whether that's again, I don't care whether or not James Gunn stays or goes. I really don't. But if it's a choice between the two, just give me Zack Snyder. But if they want to keep both, I don't care. Like they want to continue with this storyline, but also entertain the idea of finishing the Justice League storyline. Cool too. If it was my opinion, I would just kick out James Gunn, restore what was going to happen, and just continue with that. Bring back this whole team that you see behind me, the Dark Side storyline. Bringing in Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, the Atom, right? Like there were so many things, and I'll even go as far to say this, and I've said this before. I don't even care if they incorporate Black Adam, like bring him back in. The Rock is Black Adam as a villain, though, not this weird anti-hero version we got. I don't know. It wasn't. I don't know. It was just very, but still looks like Black Adam. There's parts of him that parts and moments that did feel like Black Adam. But I need him to get that the same way he got in that acting bag with that whole Machine movie he did. Like really going in, do that with Black Adam next time. If you ever get another chance, that's what you want to do. I don't care if they bring Zachary Levi again for to play Shazam, bring in the kid who played Blue Beetle. Like you can bring all these characters back, and grow this Justice League, right? Give us that Justice League Unlimited feel, right? You can do all that, but like do it under the tutelage and the guide and the respect and reverence of true auteur directors that are going to treat this property as such. That's all. And with Zack Snyder being at the helm of the Justice League, period. Obviously having if we can have the original cast come back, reprise their roles, I would love nothing more. I have no quarrels with that. I think every actor did a great job with their character, especially when you see Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah. So that's that. Restore Snyderverse, guys. If you don't know, now you know. Paramount, please just do right by us. All right, let's keep moving. Movies that I'm looking forward to, not too long, or right around the corner. And that's the Odyssey, guys. I know this. I know that there's a lot of we talked about it last time. There's a little bit of controversy surrounding the film. But apart from that, I mean, guys, it's looking cool as hell. Looking really good. I'm constantly just sharing things on my ¿cómo se dice? On my storylines, whatever, because I'll tell you this much. I'm getting that IMAX camera popcorn bucket. That I know for sure. So whoever's coming with me, just know that that's what we're doing. We're getting that. Let me see if I can actually find it because it is pretty dope. Let's see. I got you guys here. Boom. Because it should be here. It is just so cool. It's just too cool to not share. Again, I'm just really, really excited for this film. Let's see if I can find it. Come on now. Where we at? Where? Oh, here we go. Bam. Christopher Nolan in the flesh. Share this right quick. I mean, it's just dope. It's just dope. Bam.
This is the popcorn bucket.
Popcorn bucket. Look at that.
How cool is that? That's amazing. And have a look. If you look through the eyepiece. Wow! What? Which frame? Did you have a look?
A bit further back.
That's so cool.
I seriously going to.
That's cool as hell, man. Come on now. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Give me more of that. That's the movie I'm looking forward to. Not I think when is it coming out? Oh wait, I just saw it. It was just there. Hold on, guys. It was just there. When is it coming? Nope. Where'd you go? Oh, there we go. Next month, pretty much a month away. We're a month away from it, guys. Next month on the 17th, July 17th. I'm excited for it, guys. I hope you guys are too. Definitely, Nolan looks to be cooking. Every actor that's kind of talking about it, they say it's the most toughest film that they've worked on. You know, it demanded a lot, but like the reward was there for it. They feel, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, especially in IMAX. Like in IMAX. Oh my gosh, I gotta. But I don't know if I talked about this movie last time. Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So I saw it maybe like or actually when it came out. I saw it the weekend it came out. I mean, maybe it did talk about this a bit, but I guess I want to just lean in more into it and say I'm kind of shocked at the numbers, but at the same time not. You know, keep in mind this was a streaming movie, so maybe that's why it didn't do so well in the box office. But I will say that personally, in my opinion, I did enjoy the movie. But I will say that it felt like a Mandalorian. Like felt like, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't feel like Star Wars. It felt like Mandalorian. Let me say that. Right? Like, and what I mean by that is, no, there were aspects that did feel like Star Wars. I will say that. I want to give credit where credit is due, because my biggest issue with a lot of the Star Wars stuff recently is that, or you know, when I say recently, I say maybe the last year or two ago. I can't really speak on the more recent things, you know, because like I said, the Mandalorian and Grogu kind of did justice to this regard, and I still got to catch up on Andor season 2, and the Darth Maul series. So I'm kind of behind on a few things, but my biggest issue with Star Wars is that somehow aliens and robots are gone, and it's like all humans of different, because it's like they want to do more representation, and it's like so it's like they oversaturate with just a bunch of humans, and you don't really see aliens or robots anymore. Where this movie, you know, you felt like it was okay. This is Star Wars, aliens, robots, humans for sure, but aliens, robots. You know what I'm saying? So that was cool. The storyline was great. It was funny. Essentially you can watch this movie without ever actually watching any of the series, which I thought was good. But it's essentially you know, it does what the show does, right? Like it's Grogu. Grogu's cute, you know, and funny, and then and then you got Mandalorian trying to be the father figure, you know. But that being said, that's my issue personally, right? Like I gave it my review first as the general audience I feel can enjoy this movie. As a Star Wars fan, personally, in my opinion, I found issues, right? Especially with the story, how it was carried out, because there was no consistency in the Grogu character. He There's moments where like, oh yeah, he's a baby, he's not fully capable of understanding everything, so he's gonna do all these funny things as a baby does, and you know, which can cause trouble. But then in another moments, he is capable enough. So like there was like this inconsistency, like he's not capable, he's capable, he's not capable. It was so all over the place, and it's kind of sad to see people are so blind, like they because he's too cute, that they don't even see that they're being given a poor story, developing a poor developing story with that character, in a sense, like not developing story with the character. It's um so personally, I didn't like that, and personally, anybody who knows me, I don't really like the fact that they reconnected, in general, especially in the series. But for the movie, it is what it is, So I get why they did it. Um, but yeah, if I have an issue with that movie, it's that they made this character, it's like they knew people are, oh, they're so in love with him, we can't do wrong, by this character. But anybody who was really paying attention, they did wrong. Like, this kid's still a kid, but then somehow he's grown enough to save this guy, and and be capable. But then there's other moments where he's just too stupid and not capable. That's they're too childish. But then that's what I'm saying. It's there was just a inconsistency with that character. Um, but um, but yeah, general audience, I'm sure they can enjoy it, and as they should. Now, the one movie that I'm disappointed is not doing as well, and it's probably because it's an Amazon movie, and and that's probably why. Oh, that was something else I was supposed to touch on. Well, who cares? But it's the Masters of the Universe. I just went to see it this Tuesday. Um, and man, oh man, what a movie! I think, like, if you're a He-Man, a fan of that universe, of that of those of Master of the Universe, if you're a fan of that, um, this is your movie. But at the same time, if this is you being introduced to this is your movie. Um, because it's essentially its own. It's different from the previous, from what I remember, right? From the cartoons that I occasionally watch. Right, I'm not gonna pretend like I watched every episode. It's too old of a cartoon for me to claim that. Um, but even when I was a kid and the times that I did watch it, um, I can speak on that, and I can speak on the movie that I did watch way back when I watched it. I was actually gonna watch it again, but essentially they flipped the characters around in a sense, like this, or not that they flipped the characters, but essentially this He-Man, they allowed him to have this, I guess you could say, goofiness about him that, in a way, makes the movie funny. Like, it gives it the, and not just him, a lot of it's almost like they did it in a genius way. I put it like that, right? Because it's almost like they knew, well, we run the risk of bringing back this IP that existed before. That, yeah, there are fans of that universe, but there are things about that universe that exist, like that universe, that is funny when you break it down, and almost in the sense like, you know, the same way you can make fun of like a Batman, right? Character, like this guy runs around in a bat suit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's something funny about that if you look at it from that angle, right? Or you know, you know, the way you have all these Batman parodies that exist, right? Like the guy who does the whole like Christian Bale Batman voice, whatever. Like there's something funny about that, right? And like you can find something funny about that. Is my whole point. Um, and things of that nature. Like same thing here, right? Especially with this universe, because there's a lot of funny things that you can exploit. But they did it in a way that doesn't necessarily make the movie a joke or that universe a joke. It's they make the characters themselves funny in a way that the joke you're in on they're in on the joke as much as you are, but at the same time it's not just a joke, right? Like there is very serious there is a serious story plot here is my whole point, where it's like it's not just a parody. In the same way, like let's say like Superman, right? My issue with Superman 2025, right, was that, right, is that there's so much comedic relief, too much comedy that it undercuts the what could be taken serious. Same thing here. What was supposed to be serious was left serious, and it's not undercut by comedy. So those moments of like, whoa, it's like it's there, right? And then, but yes, then there's very much comedic relief to keep it funny, keep you engaged, and things of that nature. And then great action sequences. Um, Again, this movie for sure for me, I feel like hits all the things that general audiences want to see. Um, so it's kind of sad that they're not. I think last I checked, what is it, 89 million dollars so far worldwide in the box office, and it's already been out for 2 weeks. That was kind of upsetting. It's kind of sad to see. It's like, oh, come on, man, like it deserves more. It really does. Um, so if you haven't watched it and you're thinking about what movie should you watch, go watch Masters of the Universe. I'm not steering you wrong. It is worth the watch. Um, Go watch it in theaters. Go support this in theaters, guys, please. Um, and the reason I say that is because yes, even though it's going to come out on streaming like almost every movie does, you want let's not pretend like the theater experience or as if the home experience is the same as a theater experience. It is not. It is not. I'll tell you this much. It's actually great. I was shocked to see the numbers that I saw for this movie in the box office because even though I went to go watch it essentially 2 weeks later, almost from when it came out, the theater was actually packed, relatively packed for when I went to go watch it. And all of us were laughing. We were all, and then, but some of them I knew were like He-Man fans because they were, pointing out character. Like, it was such a cool experience. But like I said, 2 weeks later, it was still packed. So I was kind of like, I was kind of shocked to see the numbers that I saw for it. But go see that movie. I'm telling you, you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for a movie to watch in theaters, it is a fun movie to watch. You won't be disappointed. And I'll end it on that note, guys. Or no, hold on. Sorry. There is one more thing to mention here, I guess. No, actually, we'll end it on this note. So the End of the Line podcast. Go check them out, guys. I just posted well, I went live last night, but technically it was a pre-recorded video that I did with them, essentially on their show. And I'm grateful that they had me on. I'm honored. It was a great conversation. We were essentially did a breakdown of the Punisher One Last Kill episode that came out, and but we definitely got into a lot of other discussions, regarding like Spider-Man, Daredevil, like definitely Marvel, some DC. We talked Star Wars a bit. We geeked out for sure. It was a good conversation. Definitely enjoyed it. I hope to do it again with those guys. I hope to have them. We discussed that I'll have them on here on the Chop Shop sooner or later. Sooner, hopefully, rather than later. Obviously when we have the right discussion to talk about. But all that to say that I was honored and grateful that they had me on. Go check them out, guys. Till the End of the Line podcast. Um, they have great content as well. It's a lot of geek stuff. A lot from Marvel. Or again, just anything, comics, movies, games, and stuff like that. They're talking about. We talked a little bit about The Last Ronin, that video game, which honestly I should have been talking about it. I forgot about it, to be honest, or I forgot to put it in my banners. Anyways, whole point is it was a good discussion. So go check them out. You won't be disappointed. Again, it was a great conversation. You could check the last episode that I dropped where we had this discussion with them. So yeah, go check them out, man. Go show them some love. That being said, guys, again, I'm gonna wrap it up here. There was so much to discuss. That's why I'm about to hit 3 hours. And that's that. Honestly, there was still like 2 or 3 things that I wanted to talk about, but I wasn't trying to go this long anyways. So that being said, guys, though, for those who tuned in, I appreciate you guys. Those who were in the comment section, much love, guys. Again, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share. Be sure to comment. Again, I always tell you guys, like, comment in the comment section. Let me know, especially if you're catching me live. Like, catching me live, even if you disagree with me, please do. Like, discuss with me. This is the whole point of the Chop Shop. It's to have open dialogue, and discuss these things. Again, if you feel anything different, I'm okay. You can disagree with me. All right. I just want to put that out there because I feel like most of us have the tendency of, we hear something we disagree with and we want to go away, right? And we should. What I'm trying to tell you is, like, you don't have to do that. You can actually disagree with me in real time, and it'll be nothing but respect there. And if I feel that you have a valid point, I'll give it to you. I've had guests on here that I disagree with, but if I feel that they had a valid point, I'll concede it. I'll concede the point. You know what I'm saying? Not that we're here to debate. It's really not about debate here. It's more about just conversation. Hopefully you learn something. Hopefully I can learn something. The reality is I'll tell you this much. The more you guys engage with me, and even if it's pushback, the more you actually might get even more of a nuanced answer, right? Like, a lot of the things I talk about here, I don't go deep into because there's no pushback. You know what I mean? So I don't want to stay stuck on a certain topic. You notice sometimes when I have guests on that when we do disagree, we stay stuck on that topic and we're going back and forth, right? It's the same thing with you guys watching, right? So, like, the more you actually engage with me in the comments, and whether it's disagree with me or agree with me, the more the more you challenge anything that I'm saying, and nothing has to be that. Maybe even you agree, or maybe you're shedding light into something I'm not saying, or maybe you have a thought into something that I do think, but I didn't touch on it because I don't want to stay stuck on a conversation if it doesn't require me to. But I won't know that unless you say something, right? Because if there's something more to be said that you want to hear me say, you got to let me know, right? So again, if there's something you disagree with me, please do it. I'm open to conversation. I'm open to dialogue. That's what the Chop Shop is about. It's about having open dialogue, open conversation from all types of things in life. There is no, well, I guess there is right or wrong, but there is no scrutiny for being right or for being wrong here on the Chop Shop. So by all means, please comment while I'm live and even after, because again, if you comment after I'm live, if you catch me on the rewatch, again, I appreciate you for that. And if you comment, to something on the rewatch, I will respond to it. So, catch me live in the next time. So be sure to hit the notification bell, whether again, or follow and to be notified, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X, IG, whatever, so that I'm going live. Make sure you're aware of that so you get notified when I go live. And again, appreciate you guys that did watch and tuned in. You guys are the real MVPs here. We do this for you. And yeah, hopefully I can get back on more consistently. Again, for those who know, I've been taking these classes, culinary classes. So that takes up a lot of my time throughout the day, and then to come home and I got other things I got to take care of. So it's kind of been hard for me to be as consistent as I really want to be. To why we had this almost 3-hour long live. But again, like I said before, the idea is to be more consistent with this, so that way the conversations are more spread out, right? So we're not spending so much time discussing too many things at once, So again, we'll see how things play out, though. Please, again, turn on that notification bell so you're notified when I go live, and you can hop on and engage. Please engage. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, all that, right? And then, of course, as always, go check out my music, Il Divino Vega, as you see it here, down there on every music streaming platform. You'll find me. And then, yeah, obviously, even YouTube. This is it right here, guys. That being said, much love, guys. Peace out. God bless.
New era niggas just scream out gang gang. My era niggas outside that gang bang. Old enough to know niggas that made it onto gangland. I don't say that to grandstand, I'm just spitting the facts, man. New rappers too busy just making sing-alongs. My raps will have it going savage like the Viacom. You don't want the smoke, homie, then your weed is strong. Good to see you smoke along to that Cheech and Chong. Me and my team, we on the front line. Steady putting in work, homie, it's always crunch time. Hard times produce me, dog. This ain't a movie, it ain't WWE. When I mention the bloodline, homie, I want mine, that's why I move different. Y'all too laxy daisy, I keep myself disciplined. Repetition on repetition, training is rigorous. Only way to survive the streets that's dangerous and vigorous. Behavior villainous, leave no traces of witnesses. Moment of silence for the taking of all our innocence. Now back to business, somewhat of a practitioner, cause there's no shortcuts in life, no pills that make you limitless. That's ridiculous, far step from reality, like dudes that's licorice. Frame of thought is insanity, causing calamity if you actually watching and listening. Home to catching out from the dudes that started visiting. How you missing it? Losing profits and dividends. The way your boys been cooking, they need to give me a Michelin. The bliss is ignorant, say they don't like to mention them. They say we don't mention the bodies that's in Lake Michigan. Fucking hypocrites, I separate from the fakes. Run with a pride of lines, identify all the stakes. Hubris as they folly and catch on other mistakes. Matter time before they're just another body that's in the lake. Navigate, these troubled waters won't choose my fate. My vision is too ambition like Alexander the Great. Say there's much on my plate, but I carry my weight. Figuratively and literally, for all those who can relate. I never break, you never get me to fold. You never get me to leave, Chicago is still my home. But I carry my heat, this windy city is cold. Valentine's Day massacre, but was it really Capone? Face blown out of proportion, the different views of contortion. Use best proceed with precaution before you lie dead in a coffin. It's not a threat, that's a promise. Best quit talking your nonsense, your body could end up missing. Got your family claiming we lost them. Can't find them, bad time and he's flatlining. Good riddance, bit of negative to mankind. And I'm like Jack Reacher, the equalizer, John Wick, Jason Bourne, the accountant. Either one, you can take your pick. The damage I could do with my side weapon. John Wick with my P40 Smith & Wesson. Opposition lightweight, so I'm not threatened. I'm just glad about the hate that they keep sending. It's really easy talk that rah-rah on the internet. There's word to Zaza, I heard y'all ain't got your fingers wet. Don't get your cherry pop by the very op. We bust the real ones, got the heavy guap, you just carry prop. Bunch of these gangsters claim to be hard to the core, but they really not like women that claim to be faithful. But they really thought, act like they down, but when shit goes down, they call the city cops. Same fools think they know a lot, no dilly squad. Tired of all of this fake shit, with fake asses and fake tits. They fake smiles, make fake lips. Picasso looking with their facelift. What I call nigga replacement, with the so-called real are the fakest. So the fakest niggas are the greatest. What was common sense no longer makes sense. What was common sense is now rare sense. What was funny then is now flagrant. Living in your thoughts, I don't pay rent. I take my time, you like patience. Then your blood drip on the pavement. With a headshot, got your brainless. After getting hit with that stainless, kill an instinct, call me craven. Yeah.